You're listening to M.T.V.B. Podcast. Movies, TV, video and board games. This show may contain swearing.
Hello, welcome to a brand new episode of the M.T.V.B. Podcast, the podcast that talks about my four favorite subjects, that's movies,
television,
video games,
and board games.
I'm your host Anthony, as well as most people know me as the Antman, and welcome. This week's episode is a movie episode. We're going to be talking about our top 5 movie car chases of all time, and I'm joined around the table with the guys that love to talk about movie car chases. Introduce yourselves around that table.
Well, I am H, the man with the car crashing 2 lists.
Supa Mario with my Mario karting crashes. I don't know.
It works. And it's me, Heisenbyrne. Thank you for having me back.
Back as always. Well, you have to be. You're part of M.T.V.B, mate. You're official. You've known that for
Official
months.
now.
You
If G was here,
you've
he'd be
known that.
referring
You've
to
been
you as
official for
fan.
ages.
I got confused on what to say then.
Right, so obviously we're going to do our questions before we do our top 5s, but let's go around ourselves and introduce ourselves around that table. Let's start with Howard, shall we?
Well,
How are you, sir?
I'm very well, thank you very much.
2 lists this week or
Let's
not?
pick one list.
Just the one.
I found this exceptionally difficult.
Really?
In previous shows, you go, oh, how did you find the list? Oh, well, it was a little bit tricky. I cannot even get... I barely got 5 picks out of this.
Really?
Yeah. Looking at the films that have car chases in, I can't even bring any to memory. So it really, really absolutely came down to a long, hard slog about putting this list together. So, yeah. I've got some nice picks, but I think I'm going to be top trumped by a lot of them.
I'm interested in this one now, to be honest.
Yeah, this sounds tricky.
So let's go around the table to Super Mario.
Hello, it's me, Mario.
Can never get past that. How was that list for you, sir?
It was pretty good.
Yeah, all right.
I'm just going to boast because like Captain 2 lists got 1 list. I just kept going. Like I could have kept going for ages. Like, oh, that's a car chase. Oh, that's a car chase. So many in a certain type of film. I haven't put them in here, so I'm not going to say what the film is or the type of film. But we've talked about them before. But yeah, so many. There was a couple of remakes in there, and I was just like, do I put them in? Do I not? And I've held back because I'm pretty sure some of you guys are going to have them on. So mine is my favourite car chases, and a couple of them, the entire film is a fucking car chase.
Wow,
So,
okay.
yeah, I can't wait. Like, this is great. I'm really going to enjoy this.
Let's go back to the beginning of that. Captain 2 list was that?
Captain 2 lists.
That needs to be the new nickname now. Nice one. And then obviously, Mr. Heisenbyrne.
Oh.
How was that list for you, sir?
Oh, I loved making it. I could have just kept going and going. And then I realised I could have done a whole list on just like one sort of franchise and then like one director. And I probably could have put one actor in there. And it's just like, oh, yeah, I could have done part 2 on this already.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so
You could have got 2 lists out of it.
2 lists. And then one of mine is a chase scene. So it's like, but it is a quality chase.
Well, I do believe this was the episode that you came up with the idea for. So this is
This was always on there, but it was kind of like whether the stipulations allowed it.
This is it. This is a Chris episode, everyone. Like it.
So it's going on.
Yeah, so I think I'm in the same boat as both of you. I had a list at one point, and then I was like going back to it, thinking, oh, actually, no, I actually prefer that car list chase scene, or I love this because it's so freaking cheesy, but I'm putting it on the list and whatnot. So, yeah, I think I had this issue. I probably could have got 2 lists out of it as well, personally, but I thought I'm not going to dethrone the 2 lists, Captain 2 lists.
I suddenly feel A, very inadequate, and B, like I need to hand my badge in.
Well, I'm sure there'll be
thanks, guys.
I'm sure there'll be an episode soon that I won't have much info
hell yeah.
on, so don't worry about it. You'll come back on that one, mate.
I'm all over it.
So, movie car chases. So, we had a big chat about this before the episode, didn't we?
Yes.
Mario. car chase scenes are not particularly just cars, right?
No, so I think a car chase scene is anything that involves a motorised vehicle of some description, because there are loads of films. I'm not going to mention them, but there are motorbikes that head the chase, or there are motorbikes in the chase.
Yeah.
There are buses, there are lorries, there are boats, there are trains. Do you know what I mean? But they all involve motor vehicles or motorised vehicles of some sort in a chase or a pursuit sort of situation. And I think that's what classes as a car chase. I mean, it's just a generic term now.
It's the yeah.
It I think originally it was coined as the car chase because it was cars versus cars. You know, the bad guy would have the dark kind of sedan, and the guy in front would have the light coloured sports car. Now I think it's evolved into all motor vehicles because you can do so much and they're so versatile with everything now. So yeah, I think any motorised vehicle, except a golf buggy.
And you guys agreeing with that?
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
that
absolutely,
answers, that clears up that whole stipulation, which is just perfect. Yeah.
Because when you come up with the episode, I'm like, are you talking cars specifically?
And then I
Hear that, Gal?
took it off, and it wasn't until you went vehicle, and I went, oh, it's back into play.
Right?
So yeah, and I know there.
So was it initially just cars when you thought of it then?
No, it was more like cars and vehicles. It was like a chase scene,
Right, okay.
on like transport, or you know. So 90% of it is all cars.
Okay.
Just the one, but it was always kind of on there when I thought of this list.
Nice. So my next question will be, what makes a good car chase scene?
For me,
If it doesn't spoil your top five, obviously.
No. Go, Chris, go.
I would like to. Sitting here going, I'd like to go, it's for realism. But when I've done my list, I've gone, you're talking shit, Chris. Utter shit. But what I like is like a fine line between realism and like action. So, and for me, they are all films that I love. I haven't put a film in here which is good or could be one of the greatest car chases of all time, but because it's not technically one of my favourite films, even though I like it, I've not put it in. The film has to be great for me for it to be part of it, and it's all part of because they're normally like halfway through or a beginning, or a bit of an action bit, and it kind of keeps the movie going. It keeps you intrigued, and if you're hooked into it, and then a car chase, and then it just carries on. I love a good car chase. Realism is like when they do it properly, like the full stunts, no CGI.
I think if it was real, they'd just be stuck in traffic jams all the time.
Yeah,
Not
no,
much of a car chase,
yeah.
right?
They'd just be there honking the horn, and
Yeah.
the guy would just get out. Do you know what? I'm just going to get out and walk around, shooting in the head. Done.
What about you guys?
I'm inclined to agree with Chris on this one. The film has to rock to begin with. You have to enjoy it, and if the car chase accentuates the whole film itself, then I think that's the pinnacle of what makes a good car chase. The elements that make up the car chase, I'm not going to talk too much because the ones that I've picked are all slightly different from each other. So I won't talk too much about it. I'll talk about those in my choices. But as long as the chase doesn't detract from the film, as long as it gives to the film, and I'll leave it there.
I disagree completely,
Okay.
and I'll tell you why.
Oh, debate.
So I'm about the car. I think we've kind of worked out going forward, like in this whole environment, I'm a gadgets tech guy. I like my equipment. So it's all about the cars. But in this, it comes down to the cars and what they're doing and how, not necessarily how they evolve the story, because like when we get to the last, my top three, you'll realise actually the films that they're involved in don't really have much of a story. It's all about the cars and the chase within that, and it's not Fast and Furious.
I was about to go there.
No,
with
it's not.
No.
But like, I like cars. I am a big car guy. I like big American cars. I like Japanese sports cars.
You love Knight Rider?
I love Knight Rider. I love that Trans Am. I so want that thing. But like also the extreme cars, the cars that were made specifically for the films. Like the '89 Batmobile, that's my all-time favourite car
Yes!
ever. Why it's got a wind turbine on the front, I don't know, but it looks fucking awesome.
It's awesome.
So it still wins out every time with me. So yeah, it's all about the cars and how they shoot them, how they get them in the speed. Like if you want a good chase scene, you've always got to have something at stake, but also damage, destruction. You talk about realism, but there's also like an element of no realism in it at all. Like the cars are making stupid jumps over each other, through each other, around each other. You said about moving through traffic or just sat in traffic, but how they negotiate that, going the wrong way down a road. They're hitting water, they're hitting. It used to be a big trope, wouldn't it? The guys with the old big glass pane moving left and right in the car.
All the boxes.
All the boxes, yeah. Flowers, fruit, whatever. It's just a waste of third world resources being hit by a car and thrown everywhere.
But it looks so cool when the car hits
so
it.
Fucking cool. And that's what it comes down to for me. Like, you've got to have that visual colours, smashing, sparks, something at stake, or in sometimes nothing at stake, just purely comedic value because it's just these cars are just doing something you wouldn't expect. So yeah, that's what it comes down to for me.
Nice, good answers there. My last question, you've both kind of answered it, but I'll go to Mario if you think you can't answer it. Does the car chase scene make the movie better?
Yes. So my choices, and I'm going to stick to this. So 3 of my choices, in fact, 4 of my choices, without the car, no, 3. 3 of my choices, without the car chase, there is no film.
Wow, okay.
Because the majority of the film is the car chase. So, yeah, I think the car chase has to make some impact on the film, and quite a lot of the time, it makes such a positive impact on that film. And with 3 of my choices, without that car chase, there is no film.
I really want to know what it is now.
And 3 of those films don't become legendary status with legendary actors. So, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I would have missed out on 20 years of quotes.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, quite a few. But yeah, there you go.
But yeah, that's all I've got question-wise. If anyone has anything else to throw in, if not, we'll go straight to the top 5s.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds good.
Let's do it!
It's time for a top 5.
So for anyone who hasn't joined us on YouTube before, what we do is to determine who goes first. We roll our little 20 die with the little T-Rex inside. Unfortunately, Howard is on this episode, so he's probably going to win. So we'll make him go first. Roll it in that dice tower, sir. Come on. Low numbers.
Just keep rolling. 18.
Oh, for crying out loud. Seriously.
Right, here we go. 4.
Come on. Someone's got to get natural 20. Natural 20.
4.
Does that count? It wasn't a dice tray. Right, come on. Here we go.
12. It's Howard again.
It's Howard again, everyone.
Rigged.
Sorry, boys.
Time for a top 5.
So let's do this then.
Howard.
Guys, if we don't mention your car chase scene or vehicle chase scene, please leave a comment below and let us all know. And, if we don't mention it, it should have been in the episode. Number 5.
Number 5.
Let's go to you, Howard, with your number 5.
My number 5, and like I was saying with this list, some of these are conventional, some of these are unconventional. I would say this was an unconventional pick, maybe on your lists. It is possibly a film that you're not going to have a popular opinion on. It's The Matrix Reloaded from 2003.
I agree with this, but it's not on my list.
This was on my list,
Right.
and I took it out. So
I don't like the film enough for it to be on my list, but it's a great scene. That's the reason why it's not on mine.
I also have a fact about that scene as well, but we'll get into that once you've done it. We can do it now.
Do it now.
do it now.
It currently holds the record for the most number of cars smashed up in a car scene.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Originally held by a pick in my... but actually held after that by Gone in 60 Seconds in 1985, 82, 85.
Oh, no, that was 70. That was
No, there was an 80s version as well.
was it? Oh.
Yeah, so the 80s version held it after Blues Brothers,
Right.
and then Matrix Reloaded took the crown.
Well,
Wow.
I like this film.
I do. I like all 3 of them.
3, not so much. 2, I like. There's a lot of things that went into number 2 that I did enjoy. One of them was the fight with the Mr. Smith. I know it wasn't animated very well. The CG was a little bit shonky. But this car chase, it accentuated, and I'll probably keep using this word because this apparently is now my word. But this whole film, I think, was lifted because of this one scene. So, The Matrix Reloaded, starring Keanu Reeves, Carrie-Anne Moss, Lawrence Fishburne, Hugo Weaving, and directed by the Wachowski sisters.
Well, I think they just
They were
Wachowskis
brothers at
now.
they were brothers at the time.
To sum the scene up, we have Trinity and Morpheus rescuing the Keymaker. They're being chased by the evil twins down this freeway, and carnage ensues. So the car, and I'm kind of with you on this one, Mario, I'm going to state the car because I think the car does have a part to play in the scene.
Yes, it does.
It does. It is a character. And I'll go back on what I said and say, yeah, the car also adds to the scene itself. And without the car, there is no scene. So there is no great part of the film. So the car in the scene is the Cadillac CTS from 2003. Why do I initially like this scene? I like it purely for Morpheus slicing up an SUV with a katana sword. I mean, how can you incorporate that into a car chase?
It's unbelievable. But
They did it.
Yeah.
It's
They
kind
did
of a duo because it goes to a car to a bike,
It's
doesn't it?
Ducati, isn't it?
From-
The Ducati bike.
A car to a bike to a truck.
To a
Yes.
truck, that's right. Yeah.
I
To an
mean,
accordion.
things that I like about this scene, it's got a banging soundtrack, and
It always does.
Yeah.
All three of them have a banging
all three of them
soundtrack,
have a banging soundtrack, yeah. And Rob Duggan's score for all three of them, because he really, really puts his heart and soul into it. I think that lifts it above the gods. It starts off as a cops and robber chase, basically. So they've got the Keymaker. They're trying to get away from the twins, the bad guys. You've got agents that are getting involved. So
Yeah.
the fact that every now and then you see the agents take over drivers of a car and they morph into the agents. So there's different cars that are chasing this Cadillac. The fact that the agents are jumping out of cars, they're jumping onto cars, they're jumping onto trucks.
Yep.
It's a multifaceted, multi-layered scene. And it, like I mentioned, it's not a conventional scene. So, yeah, the fact that you've got cars, bikes, trucks, katana swords, you've got people jumping on things, off things, I think it's absolutely brilliant.
It's all in one package, isn't
it's
it?
one of the
and the
best-
360 shot at the end.
It's
Yeah.
awesome.
It's one of the best mixed reality kind of shots ever because you've got practical effects, you've got practical cars, but you've also got
You do.
computerized and animated, and they all look pretty real. And if you ever go back and watch the making of it, that's for me the more interesting part than the actual film. But
Especially when she dodges the cars on the
Yeah.
bike, yeah.
Yeah, because they then put the cars in.
Yes.
And they had a practical tumbling of the cars. They had it on the old rig, the big arms that they use for cameras.
Yeah, yeah.
And they roll the cars, film them on the green screen, and then lay them. It's amazing. Such a great idea. Such a great
And they
also-
built that
they
highway,
built
didn't
it
they?
out
Yeah,
7
built-
miles
that's what I was
because they
gonna
couldn't
say.
actually close it down long enough to film it because it took
So they
forever.
thought, sod it, just build it.
Built
Yeah,
it
it was-
7 miles of motorway.
It was on a California island, and it cost $2.5 million off
Just
the
for
entire
that.
budget,
Wow.
just for that one scene. So for that alone, I mean, the amount of pure imagination and work that went into it, I absolutely had to be on my list. To top it all off with a fight scene on the
Yeah.
top of the truck. Brilliant. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. So for number 5, I mean, it could have been higher, to be perfectly honest with you, but I think because my experience with car chases in films is quite limited compared to you boys, that's why it sits where it sits. But yeah,
But no, this was literally my number 5, and I pulled it out last minute.
Oh, really?
Yeah, honestly.
Okay.
So it would. I think it's a very good pick, to be honest.
I must have read your mind because I did the same as Ant. I put it in because I was thinking, you like the film, so I'm not going to put it in because it's a great chase. I
Yeah.
don't, like Chris, I'm not a fan of the film, but the chase is just phenomenal, and like the effects that go into it are just fantastic as well.
plus also, and just to segue into the Matrix trilogy and the quadrilogy. I know you hate that film.
I've never seen it.
I haven't seen the last one.
It's full fun's terrible.
It's not good. It tells the story of the fact that I think Trinity is the one. Because everything that, when you think about a lot of the scenes within the Matrix films, a lot of it is not done by Neo. It's done by Trinity. She's the hero. So that one scene where she's got the Keymaker on the back of the bike, I just think,
It's suicide.
Jesus Christ. Well, prove me wrong. Yeah, brilliant. Sets up the...
No, it was a great scene. It's just, I loved the first one so much.
Yeah.
The second one, to be fair, it lost me during the first fight scene with Agent Smith.
Really?
And then, but that scene at the end of it, because it's near the end, isn't it? Yeah. It kind of like, it did enough to like go, right, I'll go and see the next one. But it was like the whole film wasn't as good as the first one, I thought, and that's just
It was different.
it's different. So I never go back and I never watch the second one, but I will watch it if I see it near
the end,
or if they're in the key master bit, the key maker bit.
Yeah.
I'll watch it from there, but I will never put on the Matrix 2 now. But it's a brilliant.
As a car chase scene.
It's awesome.
On that sad note, did you know the evil twins were in changing rooms before Matrix Reloaded?
Yes, I did know this.
The handyman, weren't they?
Yes,
no,
they were.
really?
Yeah, they
I
were.
didn't know that.
Did you not?
No.
I thought you would know that.
No, I
We
didn't
got
know that.
another.
No.
Did you know as well?
I'll do it, mate.
Keanu Reeves is the same age as John Whiff.
Spoilers.
What?
One of them's had a hard paper.
He
round.
would say that if he was on the episode, by the way. Oh, it's the same age as me. Anything else on Matrix Reloaded? Nice. Round the table to Mario. And your number 5, sir.
My number 5 is Chicks Dig the Car. It's Batman Begins, and it's the Tumbler. Going through
Batman Begins.
that chase scene with the Tumbler going through the streets. But the chase scene starts with him turning to, I forget the actress's name.
Rachel. What?
No, it's not.
Kate Holmes.
Kate Holmes. Turning to her and goes, "Trust me." And then he ducks down into the vehicle, shoots out the side of the multi-story car park, and then from that point forward, he is just destroying everything. I don't know why he had to shoot out that part of the car park because later on he just goes through another like partition in the wall.
He's flying up rooftops.
He's on the roof. He's on the roofs, and he goes from a roof to the road, and then from the road he goes through the road. He's knocking out the central reservation. The police cars are hitting it. He's hitting bits of kind of causing chaos behind him, so the police cars are hitting it.
He's
left,
got
right,
a new
centre.
toy and he's going to play with it.
Oh, fucking! I love that car.
Could you drive your car lying down, though? Because that's what he does sometimes.
In some ways, I do, but in a different way. I pretty much kind of I'm back there. Yeah, more or less, but not in the way he does. Like
No, because he does it on his stomach, doesn't he?
proper
Yeah.
torpedo style. He must have some sort of throttle on the steering wheel. But yeah, I love that car. The Tumbler. Like, when they showed the Tumbler, I was like,
So which one, 89 or Tumbler?
no, 89 is the winner, 100%.
Nice.
But the Tumbler, when they came back and said Batman Begins is almost a Batman Year One story, I was like, okay, cool. They better have a really cool Batmobile. Because if you read the comics, he's pretty much got a Tumbler. It is like a tank on wheels. Only I think the kind of version they have in Batman Year One has a cannon sort of thing on top. But the Tumbler was like, that's it. That's the car I want. And when I saw them build it, I was just like, that thing's amazing. How big are the wheels on that?
Yeah.
Where the hell are you going to park it? Has it got a rear camera? And it's got a camera fucking everywhere. And it's the bit in that chase scene, though, where the police cars are chasing him down the road and they're going, he's just vanished. He's gone. I don't know where he is. Has anyone seen him? And then he just turns around and goes, stealth mode off.
That thing bugs me because he just turns the lights off.
Yeah, it's exactly it.
He does. It's not stealth. It's a black
It's
car
a black
at night.
car at night with very
Stealth
little
mode activated.
I mean, he could drive around the streets of Crawley and he'd be all right because there's no fucking lighting
Exactly.
after 9 o'clock. But but the minute he says that and the car just suddenly lights up, but he's behind them. Like at no point did he need to do that, or even have them chase him from that point forward. He literally just kind of goes stealth mode off, and that's it. He kind of powers through the two police cars, knocking them either side of him, and then hits the central reservation. So like what that barrier they have that holds the big containers of water to minimise impact.
Yes.
Hits that, bars come out left, right, and centre, takes out one of the police cars, but then he decides, fuck it, I'm going off road. So he smashes through the concrete reservation to the right hand side of him, takes the chain link fence up into the air. The other police car follows him and gets jammed down. Then he goes off down a country track, and that's where the chase kind of finishes. Him
Yeah,
and Katie
they
Holmes
just sort of
heading
stop
back.
then, don't they?
Yeah, he just kind of meanders back into the back cave sort of thing. And but that chase scene across from that multi-story car park where you hear that afterburner rev up.
Yes.
The car's on the spot, the wheels spin, and he just jumps across. And from then, and the police chase, it's just fucking brilliant. That is the one where it's 100% that car makes that chase. Because if you would see the Tumbler on the road, you think it can't do any of what it can do. Like that's got to be like a truck. It's going to be doing nothing. But no, they built it to do that chase
could
scene.
actually do it.
It could actually do it.
Did you know?
Oh,
Talking about building it, some of the screens in the Batmobile were supplied by my mum.
No way.
Really?
Yeah, for one of the companies that she worked with, she had input on little bits inside the Batmobile.
Oh my god!
No way, that's awesome.
Yeah, so,
Amazing.
So if you want to build a Batmobile, guys, speak to Chris's mum.
yeah, so like it was. I'm so glad you put that one on because that's one. Like for me, Batman was always good.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it, but he was never one of my top ones. But when this came out, it was like, right, Batman's back. Like,
Yeah.
So let's go back to your mum for a sec, right? So I'm not a crime fighter by any chance, but do you think your mum can sort me out some bulletproof?
yeah, it's just the diddy bits, like they're minimal. It's not like the plasma screen, but like the little bits. But yeah, she definitely had input on circuitry and little bits inside the Batmobile because you were saying it was real. It was real.
Yeah, they made everything. Yeah, because it was able. Because the whole point of it was like you couldn't see out the car, so it had to drive by screen. So the car itself, you're actually surrounded by, like you say, those little LCD screens, and that's how you drive the car. So you actually have a 360-degree view in your car of screens, and it has every view on it because you can't drive it any other way.
Wow.
But it's such a great car.
Yeah,
it's
it's
such a great
awesome.
tank, whatever you want to call it.
But it's an interesting scene because it's a car chase as well as a time chase, isn't
Yes,
it? Because
yeah.
she's been poisoned by a scarecrow.
Yeah.
He's got to get her back to the Batcave to
Could you describe Batmobile? Or is it because the copper is like, don't worry about it because it goes booting past it, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. I can't remember what it says. It's
Never mind.
Never mind.
Yeah.
At least tell me what it looks like. Never mind.
Never mind.
But the memes on that is so many. Like,
It's so beastly.
I love it because Batman gets in the car and he farts. And he goes, he's like, "Stay calm. You've been poisoned." It's so good.
It is. I mean, but that chase scene is just fucking. That's my number 5. Like Batman Begins, the Tumbler, and it is about the car in that one.
It is.
Chicks dig the car.
It's like Gary Oldman says, "I've got to get me one of those." Right?
Yes, exactly that. And if I
Nice.
could, I would have a garage, and it would just be Batmobiles. And I include the 66 version as well. So 66. I
Yeah,
like that
you
one
kind of
as well.
have to, right? Come on.
Yeah,
Outside of the comic books, that's where it all started.
it is indeed. So it'd be that one. It would, if I could find someone who'd made a version of it, the Batman animated series one. Then the 89. You'd also have. I know it's a shit.
I like the Forever.
The Batman Forever one
Yeah.
with the blue and the kind of spinners.
I like the back part
yeah,
to
yeah.
it.
The big mohawk that
Yeah.
splits
That's
out
it,
at once.
yeah.
Yeah, I love that as well. In fact, it was the only Batmobile toy I ever owned was that one.
Was it really?
Yeah, and it was second hand as well, so there were bits missing. And over time, I was able to piece it back together. But that was my favourite. And then I'd probably go. I'd definitely have to have the Tumbler, but also I'd have to have the Ben Affleck one as well. Just to,
I
just to
like
have
that car,
That's
yeah.
a lot.
It's on tracks and it's on wheels, the whole thing. But yeah,
Going back to the toys, back in '90 when the toys would have come out after the film.
Yes.
My friend had the '89 Batmobile, and he had the cocoon version where you had this.
yeah, we could put.
When you put the shield
just
over it,
placed
yeah.
the plastic cocoon over the
Shields
top.
up.
Shields up, yeah. Place it over. Well, we left this thing out in the sun, and it literally
Melted
folded
it.
in on its side.
no!
No!
Ouch.
Yeah, I remember it being a very thin piece of plastic,
It was,
wasn't
yeah.
it?
A 10-year-old boy's heart was broken that day.
Oh, damn.
The amount of toys I ruined.
Just by leaving him in the garden.
Well, just by just playing the and
Playing
just
with them.
not caring. You know what I mean? Like just playing how they're supposed to.
Yeah.
Be
You got to think
played.
about what 40-year-old you would have
Oh,
thought.
if I could go back in time and just leave it in the box.
Are you going to play with that? I'm just going to stare
Just
at it.
leave it
Just going
in
on
the
the
box.
shelf.
Put it on the shelf. Don't breathe on it. Don't touch it.
Mum, it's an investment. It's just the Millennium
You just
Falcon.
don't understand. Anything else on Batman
Nope,
Begins?
Batman Begins, my number 5.
Excellent picks. Over to Chris for your number 5.
Number 5. So this is like you were saying, the unconventional, and probably one of the first sort of feature movies I can remember as a kid. So this is one that sort of I've grown up with.
Okay.
The director is called Nick Park. And we are going to 62 West Wallaby Street, Wigan.
Oh,
For-
it makes total sense.
The Wrong Trousers.
Wrong trousers. Fucking brilliant.
And the train scene, the chase.
Yes. That's with the penguin, right?
The penguin.
Yes.
What an
Feathers.
epic chase.
Yeah, like honestly, for me, like it's quite possibly the most impressive chase on my list because of how it's made with the stop motion and how time consuming it was. And they built it like a 15-foot set, and then they just kept moving the sofa placement and like the attention to detail that these guys had made it flawless. So it starts with like they get a lodger.
Yes, they do.
So yeah, for Wallace and Gromit is basically the British, basically Inspector Gadget without
Yeah,
Penny, isn't it?
it is, yeah.
So yeah,
With cheese and crackers.
Yeah, he's a bit ditzy, a bit dumb, and the dog is the brains, does everything, looks after him, and they get a lodger, and it turns out to be a penguin, but.
But the penguin doesn't dress as a penguin, does he?
Like is he dressed?
He's dressed as a rooster.
Is
he has a rubber glove on his head.
Yes, that's
And
right.
he has a cone over.
Yeah,
like,
it's,
that's
like,
right.
it's just like a washing up. It's a
yeah,
washing
he's washed up,
glove,
and
isn't it?
then he's got another beak as well. It's like a prosthetic beak
That's
that
it.
he wears as well.
So he becomes a lodger, and like, Gromit's adamant that
he's
he's up to no
suspicious.
good. Yeah,
He's
so
suspicious
he
from
ends up
day one.
following him, and it turns out like he's planning a heist. While Wallace is like a bit of an inventor, and he's invented these robo trousers to sort of allow him to do everything lazily.
yeah, help him paint the house.
Help
yeah.
just like the suction,
Climb up walls, yeah.
walls, and like just got like everything just being done by stop, like the way they do it, and you, like, it's like they're like 35 minutes long, and you like it's a lot of.
It's the speed at which because that chase happens really, really quickly as well, and they get that speed and urgency and everything in that scene from stop motion as well. Like
That's
and
it.
You think it's 25 frames per second, so they've got to do 25 movements potentially per second to get some natural movement in there and to make it look that fast as well. So one thing's got to be moving at one speed, everything else has got to be moving at another speed, that's got to be moving at a separate speed to that. The calculation, the brains between those guys
A lot of time and patience.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And to have it as effective as that is for a kid's show. Basically.
That's what it is, and I just remember so it ends up being that Wallace gets put into the trousers. And the Feathers, the penguin rooster.
Oh, Feathers McGraw, isn't it? Yeah,
but
Feathers McGraw.
takes over the trousers and makes him go and steal the diamond. Ends up, or come back, and then this chase happens inside the house. And it starts with them sliding down the stairs, and they hop onto what is like a miniature electric train set that's been just going around in the background of the house the whole episode, doing like teas and stuff. But the action in this scene, like the camera angles, you get face on, you get side on, you get overhead, and you get it from like perspective from the penguin and perspective from like Gromit. But then after that, you get Wallace coming in on his little basket, like obviously trying to help and just not doing anything. But why I love this scene where it becomes the chase is that the penguin manages to disconnect him.
Oh, yes, of course.
And he slides off, and then he flicks the switch, and then the track goes off around into the dining room or somewhere. And then this is where the classic, and this is the brilliant bit, he picks up the spare track.
Yes.
And Gromit
The box of spare tracks.
whacking it down. And he's building the...
It's building the track as it goes along.
But the bit I like is the bit, it goes under this table, and it's got this like this... Like this little chicane wobble, and they ends up getting back. And then they manage to sort of like hook him off, and he's like flying off, and then he ends up sliding down into like
Doesn't he catch him in a milk bottle?
A milk bottle. Yeah, catches him into a milk bottle, and that's the end of the scene. It's like it's like 3 minutes long, but it's 3 minutes of like comedy.
Right. It's action-packed.
It's action packed.
Pure genius, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just one of the most intense, clever scenes I've ever. And when I was thinking of this, it was like that. I know it's car chases, but I really I need to talk about this, and it's kind of like.
In my opinion, probably above all of the other Wallace and Gromit and anything, one of the best animated films that I think has ever been made.
Definitely.
Yes.
It's the one.
Well, they're all good.
They are all good, yeah. But that one,
That's the standout one.
that's the standout one for like.
and it's because of that. You know, when people say, "Oh, when I'm contemplating, or I'm thinking, or I'm doodling," you hear the magic roundabout.
Yeah.
All I hear is. Tie a yellow ribbon round the old oak tree. That's all I hear because of that film. Since what year did it come out?
93.
93, really?
89 was the grand day
It's
out.
31 years old already.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So it
And it
was.
still holds up. Come
Yeah.
on.
It looks like it was made yesterday.
Yeah.
To like it's one of the best scenes. And like if you've not seen it, because like obviously you're American or something, I really recommend you check out.
The Americans love it.
Do they?
Yeah,
Yeah,
they absolutely love it.
Yeah, just Wallace. I'm sure everybody's seen it, but if you haven't, or you've
Wallace
got
and
kids,
That's an amazing pick. I'm jealous that I didn't think of anything like this, but it's one of those little films that gets the blood pumping right towards the end.
Yeah.
Purely from a train going around a track.
It starts so
funny.
slow and twee.
Yeah.
It's so great, so mundane. It's like, how is this going to be fun? And then by the end of it, you're like, I get it. This is amazing.
just having a cup of tea, like pure British.
Really good.
So had to go on. Wallace and Gromit, The Wrong Trousers.
Nice. Good pick.
Follow that.
How do I follow that?
Tag, you're it.
Oh, well, okay. Let's go big then, shall we? And let's go for a film that is full of injected gasoline inside it.
Oh, no. This is going to be amazing. I know what it is.
So, out of the whole pick, if I mentioned obviously gasoline, it's Mad Max, but I've gone with Mad Max 2, The Road Warrior.
Yes.
The old,
Yes.
Mel Gibson.
It was so close to Fury Road because that is a fantastic film. It's one of my favourites of all time, but you cannot deny Mad Max 2. I picked this because there is actually 4 car chase scenes in this movie, but I've picked the one at the end, which is to protect the tanker. It is a chase scene that still holds up to this day. Everything is, practically done. There is no CGI in it. Like, there's literally a guy that falls off a bike, crashes into a car, and the stuntman literally loops in the air with no wires, no stints or anything like that at all. It is all real there. It is quite an intense scene as well compared to the other car chasing. This one is all about getting people out of it's like to create a diversion, wasn't it, sort of thing, and get the other guys out of the camp and stuff. But how these other guys attack and all the cars and how they have to move and how George Miller does it. And I know you feel like a film specialist, you look at it now and it's like, well, clearly it's all sped up and all that sort of stuff, isn't it? But
the intensity of like zooming in straight into Mel Gibson's face,
right? Yeah.
The supercharger kicking in and the kind of like at the right moment as well, like that belt kicking in and turning, and then the vents opening and the car going. That Interceptor as well.
Oh,
again,
exactly.
It's that car. Mad Max without the Interceptor is Fury Road. It's just
and technically this one as well because it breaks in this one. Yeah.
But it's such a great car and it's such a great scene, and that car as well. The dust trails behind it. It's going.
Yeah.
And the other thing, you can't see out of that car to drive it.
Because Interceptor?
The Interceptor, because the supercharger is so big in the middle of it. You actually, if you watch, the Interceptor's on a dolly for most of those scenes just to ruin it, that illusion. But because the drivers, for some of it, to get Mel Gibson to drive it, he couldn't see past the supercharger in it. So he's kind of down to one side or down to the other side. So when you see a scene with him driving it, it's more than likely superimposed on the dolly because he couldn't see past it.
I didn't know that.
But the other drivers would have someone radio them and tell them, oh yeah, watch out to your left, to your right, turn, because they couldn't see past that supercharger. It is massive.
Wow, I didn't know it was that big. I knew there was one on there, but I didn't realise it was to a point where it's blocking your vision.
Can we remind ourselves, the villain from the first one was called Toe Cutter, wasn't he?
Yes.
The one in the second one, was it Humongous or Lumungus or what was his name?
The guy with the
just
mask,
walk away and we'll end the horror. Just walk away.
Something like that.
Yeah, but he wore the Jason mask.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But yeah, that's another part I was going to come to because obviously we've got the heart, the action thrill part of these guys trying to jump on this tanker and overtake it and whatnot. But then we get to a point where that's all gone now, and Mel's literally on his own. He's being held by someone behind him, so he's restricted to what he can reach out. So he gets one of the kids he's with to try and reach for the last bullet of his shotgun to take this guy out. And he tries to reach it, and it's like there's one shot in it where obviously the music's very then all of a sudden it just stops, it cuts, and it goes to a little heartbeat with this child trying to stay stable on the front of this tanker, reach for this shotgun. The next minute, jump scare, this the big fuck off guy that's in there. He's his second hand guy, second in charge guy. Sorry, he starts right at the camera like you said, whatnot. But then the guy with the
hockey mask.
Jason mask, hockey mask is like kamikaze in the truck at the same time because he's had enough. He's all burning everything, and the crash on that is just absolutely brilliant. And he, not long after that, the truck, the tanker itself does this incredible, like, side, dive off to the road and whatnot. And it's how it's all done is like, this is crazy how people have actually choreographed that and trying to get the shot. Because could you imagine mucking up that shot in one and you're like, let's go back and redo it again, rebuild it? Yeah.
You've just blown up half of our cars. What do you mean do it again?
Exactly, yeah.
budget.
That's it.
It's a phenomenal piece of filmmaking, and George Miller has not, stopped since. How he still does it today is, a man who's in his 80s and still can deliver this high octane stuff is unreal.
And keeps in style. Like the vehicles that the kind of raiders all use, like to have the vision of, we'll just strip down buggies or cars, chassis, and just add a spike here, add a cage here. This one's going to have
this one's got a harpoon on it or something. Or
this one's got a harpoon on it. This one's got a disco stage on it, and giant speakers. This one's got a guy at the front playing guitar.
Yeah,
like the whole idea, like. It's ridiculous, but it's also menacing at the same time.
Yeah.
If that comes bearing down on you with a guy playing, thrash metal as he comes towards you, you're driving out the way. You're done.
Honestly, not one car is the same in those movies.
No,
so
not
the detail to them is unreal.
But every movie like that came afterwards copied that.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What apocalypses, like that sort of...
That's it,
barren,
Wasteland, the world has come to an end.
In fact, whenever
all
you try
desert.
to describe the apocalypse now, you go,
It says,
like
Mad
Mad Max.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Neil Marshall's Doomsday. That's a love letter to Mad Max straight off the bat.
I do like that.
Yeah, I thought you would. But yeah, like I said, you can't have car chases without Mad Max in today. I had to pick two, very close, like I said, Fury Road, but two had to go into there. That's my number 5s. Let's go to the number 4s.
Number 4.
Back to Howard for your number 4, sir.
Well, for my number 4, we are going to tell the story of Eleanor.
Ah, yes.
So you mentioned earlier.
I did mention.
Gone in 60
Which
seconds.
one, though?
So this is
Not the original
my man
French
Nick
one.
Cage.
Yeah, all right.
It's the 2000 remake.
This was on my list, so...
I love this film.
Yeah, I do.
as well.
I think I've previously mentioned that it was the very first DVD that I ever bought. Second one was Dog Soldiers. So it's got a little special place in my heart. Now, at the time I watched it, I didn't realise that there was an original.
No, I didn't either.
There's two. There's
And a
two
part
original.
two.
But the original is a French film.
Is it French?
It's a French film.
Oh, okay, right.
So, and it's a remake of that in the 80s, and then it's obviously a remake later on down the line.
It's one. I need to watch the original because obviously after this I've learnt of the original film. So it's something I need to go back and watch because I believe that held the record for the most car crashes until something else came along.
It did.
And it has the end scene's a 40-minute car chase.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
And it's not just one car. I love this film because of the cars. Like I said, I'm a gearhead. Like all those cars in it as well. Each one of them, maybe not the Hummer, mainly because it's driven by Vinnie Jones, but all the other cars within it, like the Ferrari. I take that every day of the week. There's a couple of kind of 4x4s that the old, not the Hummers, but they're bigger than that. There's a couple of other ones in there. It's just such a great cars.
The cars are the star of this film, and I've picked this so. I think we hopefully we've all steered away from a particular franchise because when this film came out, another franchise came out.
Absolutely. The year after.
Yeah, I was all over this film. I wasn't so much for the other franchise, although some of them have their place. But this one told...
On the shelf.
But I do believe this was the film that made the other franchise safe. Like, this is the one that goes, yes, people like this.
Yeah.
We'll do this.
Yeah, it literally paved the way for that. So, Gone in 60 Seconds of 2000. So we've got Nicolas Cage, Angelina Jolie, Giovanni Ribisi, Christopher Eccleston, Robert Duvall, directed by Dominic Senna. Yes. So this is the story of a retired car thief, Memphis Reigns, who needs to steal 50 cars in one night in order to save his brother from the carpenter, who's come down to Long Beach.
And I just love that Eccleston's line.
I love
as well.
Eccleston in this. People hated him, but I liked Eccleston.
It's that bit at the beginning where he turns around to Ribisi and he goes, "Do I look like an arsehole? Am I an arsehole? Do I look like an arsehole to you?"
I've been trying.
He goes, yeah.
To be honest, you're not very menacing. Like you're a little bit angry and a little bit shouty.
So,
But you look like Dad having having a hissy fit.
Hissy fit.
Yeah.
It's so bleeding poor.
What a great villain.
Oh, yeah, he's awesome.
So the car is the star, and I think for all of the ones that they steal, it will always come down to the GT 500 or Eleanor as we know it, the 4 Mustang.
Shelby Mustang.
The car that's in 20 minutes of the movie has such a character into this film.
It doesn't exist. This is the thing. The car,
I want this car ever since I said if I've ever won the lottery.
That's the car I want.
I'm buying that car as well as other ones. I know it probably can't be driven properly, but I must have that car. If I could afford it, I must.
So Eleanor isn't a real car. Like, just to ruin everyone's illusions here.
No, but the Shelby GT 500
was, but the version that they used for the film was created specifically for the film.
Oh.
So it's a body kit they designed and took actually from another car completely, and then fitted it to the Mustang. And I can't say that I wouldn't want this car ever. Like, this car is fucking amazing. And there is a car from another franchise that I really like as well, but it's a Japanese car, but it's painted in a very similar way to Eleanor. It's that silver and blue, and it just has that look to it. And it's this, but Eleanor has that the cables that hold the bonnet clips down, the lights,
so beautiful.
the auxiliary driving lights, the lines on that car, the massive alloy wheels with just the whole car.
I think when we talk about muscle cars, this is probably one of those cars that instantly springs to mind.
I saw it at the cinema, the noise it made in that cinema.
As soon as that engine purrs.
Why do I like this scene? It doesn't let up for literally 1 second. Well, it does let up for 1 second, but then it tells a little bit of a story in that 1 second, and then it just gets straight back into it. It takes place in the city, it takes place on bridges, it takes place in a shipyard, viaducts, that famous viaduct that we all know from another film. The gear changes, you can hear every single gear change, and
every time he puts the pedal down as well,
every
and
clutch
everything.
drop, every
you can see
wheel
the pedal.
spin.
That's what I like.
You do.
He double clutches as well. Like, you see the scene where he double clutches.
So it's not just a car chase. It's a Jerry Bruckheimer film.
Yeah.
And as we know, Jerry Bruckheimer films are so beautifully shot. And he is deliberate about every single scene that goes into a film.
It has that feel when you know it's a Brockheimer, isn't it?
Brockheimer and
it has that thing it has that thing at the beginning.
Go together.
The opening scene with Nick Cage, where you're at the go-karting track and you get the lens flare, and before you kind of focus on the silhouette against that kind of, it's not a sunset, but it's not like morning, sunrise either. You get that kind of silhouette of him in this orange sun. And then later,
the colour palette.
It's really, isn't
it's
it?
one of my favourite music intros.
And it's just him silhouetted, and then he goes, "Okay, now drive," and then all the go-karts go off. But then later on, when the scene which I think you alluded to, where it slows it all down right near the end, just to go back to his history with this car, and they go back to it, and yet again you get that lens flare, you get that sudden colour palette yet again comes across as he's reminiscing over his past deeds with this car, just before the car then kind of decides, I'll let you have it this time. And it's just, it's so good. So good.
And it's calm until he locks.
Yes.
He locks eyes with his like...
His
it's not nemesis. There's a mutual respect like that. It's like, I told you, I'll kind of get you.
No, they respect each other. And obviously
he
towards
knows
the end of the
he's...
film, it all comes good because... ultimately he lets brains get away.
But like he pulls out, doesn't it? And it's all calm and it's all chilled and the music's chilled, and then he locks, and then it's just like...
And
it's as soon as he gets in the car, straight away.
Instantly.
It's not even time to like introduce one another again.
No, that, I mean, I don't know what model that BMW is. I think it's a 7 Series, isn't it? It's something like that. But I mean, what a car that Castlebeck and Drycoff are driving. And he drives it like he's stolen it. And I think if it wasn't for the fact that Delroy Lindo put a lot of oomph into his performance with that, it wouldn't have made half the scene. But
he doesn't feel like a police officer in that.
No,
he doesn't.
He feels he feels like John Shaft, basically. He's literally kind of like playing this
like he's got a history with that town as well and everything.
But with everything, like with rains and all that, it's the line. I think it's his line. It might not be. It might be Eccleston's. But it's like, it never rains, but it pours.
Pause. Yeah, that's Eccleston.
That's Eccleston.
But he does bring it in later on. Like,
it's like the perfect cast, because obviously I've got Timothy Oliphant as his mate. And
Timmy Olifantastic.
Yeah, that bit where he's driving and he's just like, boy, man, this guy can drive.
Yeah,
he
turns to him and goes, what?
It's
Probably it's all the car. It's all the car.
It's all the car. It's all the car.
Are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, are you sure? You just gone through a wall.
Yeah, he's very good in that.
Great film.
Yeah, so the action is intense, and it just keeps pushing and pushing and building and building, and like I said, the sound of the engine does all of the work. Yeah. There's a great soundtrack in the background.
It's an amazing
Dude, I
soundtrack.
love this soundtrack.
This soundtrack-
I bought the CD
I got the
literally
CD.
after I saw the movie.
Yeah,
mix
Moby, where it starts with Moby, is it like that
Yep.
tune?
Moby,
is like,
BT,
is one I-
Groove Armada,
Yeah.
you have it.
It's literally
Listen to
on
it.
my Spotify, like, you know, yearly.
Yeah.
You listen to this song way too much.
But it's
Yep.
the soundtrack on this isn't also like set in one genre or one year, like one decade. It so crosses every generation.
the running
from like
tune.
from like 70s all the way through to kind of like the 90s and the thousands,
yeah.
but like into the 90s. Like it crosses those boundaries. It's so good, and the use of the songs as well. Like you know, when they go looking for the cars and stuff, the songs in the background. I can't remember the name of the song. Little Runner? No. The one he starts up to, gets everyone psyched up, and he's like,
Boom.
yeah,
Yeah.
and he plays that. He's like, okay, let's go. It's like,
Oh yeah,
that's it. I can't remember what it's called, but
Yeah.
Little Runner or
Low
something.
Rider.
Low
Gets a
Rider.
little
the
higher.
of course it's the low rider.
and it's so good. It's such a great, and all the music all the way through it, like just picks the.
But
cars,
even from the
pace.
start, like with the soundtrack, it brings daddy up, it brings daddy down. And then you've got this scene, there's a little bit of a shot of a speedometer, and it zeroes in on that speedometer, and you see that in this car chase. And it all just adds to the flavour of it.
There's a lot of trombone shots on stuff
Yeah,
that you wouldn't
oh,
put
yes,
a trombone
yeah,
shot on.
yeah.
Like the Speedos, like the exhaust pipe of the fucking car.
Doesn't need to
Like-
be there, but it is. Even when he flips the lid on the gear stick and
For the red button, yeah.
for the
baby go go.
Yeah.
to
And
open
then he's shooting off down that viaduct. Absolutely brilliant.
that supercharger engaged. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fucking-
It's not an
Yeah.
Apache, sir.
There's so much
He's
to
gone.
it.
So ultimately, this scene culminates in the bridge jump.
Yes.
Castleback has nearly got him, and he starts reversing back up the bridge. He thinks he's got him, and then he just shoots straight over that
Car transporter.
that car transporter, and to freedom. With minimal scratches and just with seconds to spare.
minimal scratches.
How he does it, I don't
fuck me, when
know.
that
He loses a wing mirror, but hey, what the hell?
When that car turns up at the container, my heart sank. I was looking at that car going, oh, it's just
Yeah, because they
ruined
crush it in the end as well, don't
Yeah,
they?
they do.
Yeah.
It's just, and I know they made hundreds of cars to do most of this driving and such. Each one was a different car chassis to do different things, but it just even that, knowing that one of those got crushed like that, it's just like heartbreaking. And that it got abused. Like you see it jump, and when it crashes down, and like the light just drops out, it's like, oh, you've hurt it. You've hurt it. Leave it
Yeah,
alone.
when he
Leave
breaks
her
the rear
alone.
mirror,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
side wind, yeah.
Be
But,
right, just a little pain.
There's another scene in that car chase I absolutely love because it's not in many other car chases. Is when he does the high reverse.
Yes.
Like at
Yeah, yeah.
full speed. I've never seen a car
In
go
reverse,
fast
does
in
the
reverse
J-turn.
ever.
Yeah. He reverses, then does a J-turn straight
That's it,
around.
yeah.
Straight into the car park, isn't it? Or the
that's it,
alleyway.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think we need a commentary corner on this.
Oh, let's go
Oh,
for it.
no.
Yeah.
But
All
I
day
no,
long,
this
all
was
day long.
so in my list. I took it out because I thought someone
This is the same.
would
this
have
is the
it.
same.
But I absolutely love it. I remember when this movie came out, everyone panned it, hated it, all critics, and I
No,
sandwiched
not
it,
me.
and I was like, no,
Not me.
And yet
I
they
do
love
not see what the
Fast and
issue was.
Furious.
Yeah, but did you ever remember the trailers
Yes.
for this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like time it took you to buy your movie ticket, 2 minutes.
It's gone.
Yeah.
And, time to buy your popcorn, 1 minute.
Had
time it took
nothing
them to
to
steal
do
your
with the
car.
film at all,
No,
other than the
This
silver
one,
car.
this
Seconds.
film was. Do you remember? Was it? I think it was. What was the old cinema? But you bought the 1 month or the 2 week
Virgin.
Virgin.
Yeah.
And I think I got a 2 week pass when this come out, and I smashed this film.
Yeah.
Like, over and over.
I must have
and
seen
over.
it, a few times.
Like literally, just you're going to see it with different people who had not seen it.
I'd also add like this is Jolie's the height of the Jolieism, like Angelina
Oh,
Jolie. at the height
definitely,
of her.
yeah.
She shoots dreads as
And
well.
she had dreads, and there was two people that pull off dreads in that way, and it's Faye Tozer and her, and this was it for me. Like Angelina Jolie suddenly comes on, it's like, oh,
Yeah, I
Yeah,
fell in
you've
love.
overtaken
The
Faye.
character of Sway. I fell in
Yeah.
love with Sway throughout this film.
and because I'd been watching Hackers for years on repeat.
You said about her specific. I love all the characters in this. Even
Yeah.
Donnie. I
Oh,
love
Donnie's-
Donnie in this.
It's the two brothers They're twins, are they?
It's what he says about, because he's a driving instructor, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's just like, hey, honey, you can't drive. And he's like, hey, I can't swim, so I sit my black ass out the pool. He's brilliant. I absolutely love Donnie in that character.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, brilliant.
Absolutely amazing pick, mate. Again, it was going to be mine, but I knew someone else would have it. So I'm glad you got it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Go to Mario then for your number 4 then.
I feel inadequate after that. So my number 4 is a film that's set in a European country without the cars and without the car chase. The last 3/4 of this film doesn't exist or happen. It has been remade. It didn't have Transformers in it this time, and it is The Italian Job.
Of course, yes.
Because the last 3/4 of this film is that mini car
Yeah,
chase.
someone had to have this in here, yeah.
Such a great film. And the reason that I love minis so much, like they're fun cars to play with, work on, drive. But this film is the reason why I always wanted a mini. And I got a mini as my first car, and because of this film.
Nice.
And it's such a great film, up to a point. So the acting in it is mediocre. Benny Hill is suspect. And the plot is kind of the plot is kind of suspect in itself as well. So the basic plot of the entire film is a bank heist.
Yeah.
And the bank heist, they need to get away through the sewers of Italy. And the sewers of Italy can kind of hold, well, actually at the time, 2 cars would have been able to do this. And one of them was the Fiat 500. And Fiat and Ferrari went, you're not using our cars. So they went, fine, we'll use British-made Mini Coopers. And that's what they did. And they didn't know what the capability of these cars was. And there's the scene where you see them in the drain pipe and they're doing... But they kept testing it and they kept testing it. So if you watch the beginning of that scene, they go up the side, they come down. They go up the side a little bit more, they come down. They go up. And then at one stage, one of them just gets brave enough to go, oh, fuck it. Unloops.
Yeah, I swear one loop.
So good, yeah. Well, they all do at one point. They all kind of go one after the other.
For a car that had such a low centre of gravity,
It's such a great car.
how did they get away with it?
But the car itself, so having driven them and seeing how they drive them in this film, that car is like a go-kart on the road, and you point it in the direction, point the steering wheel in the direction you want to go, and it goes. And in this film, it goes. Like, these cars just zoom past everything. They do every obstacle. They're not 4x4s. They're not sports cars. At best, they got a 1300 engine in it. You know, we talked about the Eleanor in the last bit there. It's a 3.5 litre V8. Do you know what I mean? This is a class, straight 4, not even straight 6. So straight 4 cylinder engine. Most basic, of engines ever. Get so much power out of this thing for the size and the weight, and these cars just go. It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
I love this whole thing, and the film itself. Like I say, the last 3/4 of this is the police chase, is the car chase. Like the police are chasing the.
It's the reason why people watch it, isn't it?
It is, and it's the whole point of this. Michael Caine is good in this film. I think John would probably kind of say he's great, but
Michael Caine is Michael Caine.
And like the film itself. It just ends literally on a cliffhanger.
It does, yeah. I like what you did there.
Thank you. And it's like the cars come up, they load all the gold that's on the minis into the truck, into the bus. Sorry, it's not a truck, it's a bus. Into the coach, and they kind of the minis manage to get everywhere. They get onto the coaches, if I remember correctly, and it's just such a great scene through the Pyrenees Mountains.
Hang on, lads. I've got an idea.
It's just fucking brilliant. They remade it, and I wasn't as in love with it as.
So I haven't seen it. It's Matt Damon.
I like it.
No, it's not Matt Damon. It is
Mark Wahlberg.
Oh, Mark Wahlberg.
Jason
That's why it hasn't got
Charlize Theron as well.
Not Matt Damon.
But the mini scene is awesome.
Yeah.
It was on my list, took it off, and it was like
Well, the remake.
the remake.
Yeah.
But
There is
the
there
film
are
wasn't
elements, there are elements in that film that and the car chase for that film where the cars. That's not my favourite Mini. I'm never going to kind of say it's my favourite Mini, but it is the essence of Mini. You can see the shapes, the lines, blah, blah, blah. But it's not a Mini. A Mini is a small, compact car. And the Fiat 500 at the time was the small one. The Mini was even small, or was about the same sort of size. And the two of them together, like that Mini was able to do so much. It was a fucking rally champion car. Do you know what I mean? Like that car was phenomenal. And they use it to transport gold from a heist into a moving coach. You know, the only other car I knew of at the time that could get onto a moving truck or vehicle was Knight Rider. And, and they managed to get 3 minis onto a coach. And when
So considering it's meant to have all that gold in it, they
Yeah.
must have brought it down a bit more, surely.
It's the scene at the end that breaks my heart, where they're pushing the minis out as they go
Yeah.
around. As they go around the mountain, they're pushing them out the back of the bus, and I believe the wrecks of the minis are still there.
Really?
Yeah, down the sides of the mountains, like actually pushed them out, and they're still there to this
Wow.
day. So if you go there, you can find parts of them. I'm probably sure that enthusiasts around the world.
Yeah, I'm
have
sure
come and
people have rated
taken
that
it.
by
yeah,
now.
you know, they've got a wheel arch or a wheel from it. But yeah, those cars, that scene, that film, like I say, the last 3/4 of that film is that car
It
chase.
is, absolutely.
There's nothing else in that film other than that car chase, more or less, except for the planning at the beginning and how they're going to do it. But that takes second place, really, to the car chase all the way through.
I mean, I'll be honest, when I watch it, I just forward it to the car chase. I don't
'Cause the
really
bit at the
watch,
beginning,
yeah, like you said, Benny Hill and all that. It just,
This
nah.
is what I was saying about, like, I know there's classics. This
Yeah.
one is pretty much
It's a-
one of the best I've seen. But like you said, the acting's a bit, and it's not as good. But it's kind of like, that's why it's just not on my list.
Minis are a passion project for me.
It's such a good.
But this film, yeah, it accentuates the mini. There's another chase scene that I haven't got on my list, so I'm going to save it for honourable mentions if no one mentions it, that involves a mini. And that was just as good as well. But yeah, this one was just phenomenal.
Interesting.
It's not on my list, so I might say.
Well, I'm glad you picked it because, again, another one, an honourable mention for me. So, but I think John would have had it as well, to be honest. But nice pick.
Yeah, it's in his wheelhouse, and it's Michael Caine, isn't it?
Yeah,
So.
of course. That's the reason why I picked it.
Yeah,
It's been
exactly.
Michael
Like the
Caine.
bloody doors.
Nice. Anything else?
No, that's it. I think I
Nice.
covered it.
And then over to Chris for your number 4.
So, luckily, I chose this one because I was umming and ahhing whether to do your one earlier. And this is the 2008 Dark Knight,
Yes.
Nolan.
Oh, yeah.
So I sat there and I kind of pondered which one to do because they're both cool. And I do love the tumbler over the roofs.
Yeah.
But I do prefer the Dark Knight as a film. And obviously the Joker, for me, in that scene, he rocks.
It's the truck, isn't it?
It's the truck, and it's the side on opens up, and they're going. So the premise is that Harvey Dent's just told everybody that he's Batman, which we know is bullshit. But he's planning for Batman to come save him. So he's being escorted in like an armed convoy with armored trucks, decoys, and they're just waiting for the Joker to come. So the Joker sets up a roadblock, is it a fire truck? Burning fire truck, shoots, I think he shoots copper, doesn't he?
Yes, he does, yeah.
Shoots copper, ends up going down into the underpass, which I don't know why they would go down there. As an armed convoy, you just go different, honestly. But they go down there, and what intrudes is like absolute carnage of like, from the moment it goes down, it doesn't stop. It starts with a big, massive rubbish truck comes smashing in, takes
Hits
out
the side of the truck, yeah.
takes
and
out
just
a truck,
smashes-
and you're like, oh shit, and then it's just pure foot to the floor going along, and then out of nowhere comes the big rig, which is like the Joker, comes smashing out another one, and then he's going along parallel to the armor convoy, and he's just playing with him, isn't he? Because that's his thing. That's the Joker, and he's just shooting some guns, and he has like one of the best guns, that semi-automatic pistol.
Yeah.
It's just like,
Yeah.
like, I just love everything with the Joker in. I know he gets talked about, but he really did do this role really well. Like, it was a different take on, this is how I want the Joker.
It's how he's written. The Joker's written like he has no reason for it. He's just a nut job. Like, why would a clown who is the embodiment of kids' happiness want to kill people, hurt people, steal things, do all that stuff? And in this scene, he is just yet again doing that. He laughs at, like, where the truck goes up at one point on the side of a car, and he just goes, it's just fucking brilliant.
I mean, I love Nicholson in the '89. He's brilliant.
But he plays a different type
But there's a different, and for the time and the film, if you would have put Jack Nicholson's Joker in that film,
No, it wouldn't have
It
worked.
doesn't. You don't.
Heath Ledger's Joker is a terrorist.
Yes.
Yes.
And he plays it as such, and that's why it is so.
And Jack Nicholson's Joker is a mobster.
Yes.
And he plays
Yes.
that
He
plays
mobster
it as a
role.
mobster,
Yeah.
So yeah, it ends up with like shooting, and then like the big pulls out his big weapon, the rocket launcher.
Yes.
And this is when I think Batman's just turned up with his massive like Batmobile.
Yep.
And he's come hammering it down the other way, and he's crushed the rubbish truck, and he smashes it up into the roof, and then he takes it a good 100, 200 yards, and the screech of like the when he brakes, and then he
the anti-lock brakes kicking in.
and then when he hammers it back round, because he's obviously come the other way,
Yep.
and now he's back into the chase, and then obviously he's then just smashing out anything in its way. And then this is where it kind of goes from 1 to 2, doesn't it? Like Joker's he's taking out all the other police cars, and then the armored truck, sorry, and then he's about to take out the one with Harvey Dent in it, and that's when old Batman boosts him up, gets some massive damage, like blows it up, and you're like, oh, Batman's okay, but you're like,
It's the bit,
but you're not sure.
No, because he blows up the Batmobile, which is yet again disheartening.
disheartening.
But it's what comes from
It's
that.
yeah.
the pod.
It's this is why I love this, because it had pop like this bat bike, which
Because the last thing we'd seen before that was a Batbite, was the Redbird from Batman and Robin. And the
Yeah.
less said about that, the better.
and this thing's just mean, and the way his cape. It's not. It's flat.
It's a CGI cape.
But it just
you don't
looks
care
so
because-
sick with how he's just hammering it down, and he's going for it, just after it.
And the noise that thing makes as well, because the tumbler makes one noise, like you hear that when it accelerates. You see the afterburner at the back, like all of those kind of like little flaps around the outside just open out or dilate, and then it contracts, and then this, it has that same sort of noise, but you hear the rev of the engine, like it's a turbine revving in that engine.
It's just so good. But then they get up to the top, and this is where like the Batbike comes out. It does like one of the coolest turns ever, because the wheels. So they go sideways.
They roll,
because
he can't actually turn, so
he
the
has
wheels
like-
have
yeah,
to scoot
so-
for it.
yeah,
Yeah,
you're just like,
independent. They both.
That is sick. And then this is where he comes flying, and he's like, what was it? Star Wars. And
Straight through the middle
straight
of them,
through,
like it's a speed
loops
bike.
it, and then the jackknife to kind of basically
Flip it over the top.
flip it. It just culminates this whole, and the Joker's inside. He's not.
Yeah, when you see, and it's a practical effect.
Yeah.
Again, the whole big rig where it just the entire thing just flips on axis on end and just comes over the top, and he stood in front of it, isn't it? And it goes over the top of him.
Over the top of it. It just pings him over
to end that car chase. Yeah,
literally. And I believe like there's so much chaos in this, and I believe that like even one of the cameraman ended up losing his life
Oh no, really?
in the filming of this.
I do remember
yes,
something.
yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so like carnage. But to me, it was like there's not. Yeah, for Batman, for two of them, superhero or like hero movies, you don't really associate car chases with them. But like everything, Batman was so dark and grit that even the car chases were dark and grit. Oh, it was just, and literally, I was enjoying the film so much, but then this scene just like.
And this is the thing, because with Christopher Nolan, he's such a master of what he does. You wouldn't have thought car chases would be his forte.
No.
And then the fact this was in it, I was just like, holy crap! This is just
But yeah, the scene with the Joker
20-year-old
comes
ants
over
just
and he's
jizzed all
like,
over.
his mate gets electrocuted at that little.
But
It ends with like obviously there's a bit of a twist of like someone arrests. If you haven't seen it, obviously someone arrests him, and you're like, the payoff's great.
Oh, just give me a minute, please.
Yeah. So yeah,
So good.
The Dark Knight, Heath Ledger's.
Nice.
Very good.
Good pick. My number 4. Yeah, I'm going to pick that. I'm going to change mine last minute. So my number 4 is going to have your movie Uncle in it.
Oh, Kurt Russell.
Yes.
Is it going to be what we talked about last episode?
It was.
Is it on my honourable mention?
So my number 4 is Death Proof.
Oh,
I picked it because essentially it is a car chase in 2 parts. That's why I picked it. So anyone doesn't know the movie, it's about Kurt Russell, who is he's a killer, isn't he? But he's an ex-stuntman, isn't he?
Stuntman.
He's not in the business anymore, so he goes around killing people, and he does it with his 100% death-proof car. So there are technically 2 in this, but I'm going to pick the one at the end. So he's stalking these women halfway through the movie, and all of a sudden, one of them has one of the women in this movie is Zoe Bell, I believe her name is, and she is a stunt woman from Australia, and she's been in Quentin Tarantino movies since Kill Bill. She was the stunt double for Uma Thurman in Kill Bill, and then she's been in every single Quentin Tarantino film since then, whether it's a cameo, whether it's a stunt or something. But she's actually in this one, and her and her friends hire a car, and it's like a sports car, like a revved up sports car. It's an old car, isn't it?
It is. I think it's. I can't remember what it is now.
I'm not very good with cars.
El Camino, isn't it?
Probably,
It's
yeah.
got the flat back at the back.
It looks like one of the old generic like sport muscle
Yeah.
cars, American ones, isn't it?
Yeah, so they're just driving along as normal, and then 1 minute Zoe's like, "Stop the car! I want to do something," and she wants to do a stunt. Essentially, she gets 2 belts which she attaches to either side of
Yes.
the doors. They drive, and she's basically lying on the bonnet, and this is the only anything that's holding her up. Essentially, that's anything that she's got. Like I said, there's no CGI, there's nothing else, no wires holding her. She's doing that exact stunt, full speed ahead on this massive sports car. And all of a sudden, Uncle Kurt shows up and starts to ram the car and trying to knock it off the road while she's on the bonnet. And it is a fantastic stunt for what she does. And how Quentin shows it, he's proving that nothing is holding this woman on here. If it goes, she's going to go as well. So it's really cool how he does it, and he jokes around with them 1 minute. And then they sort of stop at crash, and she falls off the car, and Uncle Kurt's like, "Oh, that was fun, whatnot." And then the girls shoot him in the arm, and he's like, "Oh, shit." So now next minute, the chaser is now the chasee, which is the second part of this one. So Zoe's obviously all right. She gets back in the car, and they go and start chasing him in the end. And they start bashing up his car and everything. And then there's like a part where they get to, because it's all out in the countryside they're driving through, and when they actually get to a town, that's when the 70s, 80s soundtrack kicks in, makes you feel like, oh, here we go, this is an old style car chase scene right now, like it's meant to pay homage to, isn't it, whatnot. Obviously, like you said, there's crashes through signs, there's crashes through boxes and whatnot. And obviously there's a part where he loses them, doesn't he?
He does.
So he's like, sways them to one side, she goes down the love lane. But then next minute, he's like, all happy, jolly, and they essentially knock him off the road. And what I love about this is that this is like a car chase scene with an outcome to it.
Yes.
So they knock him out, they punch the shit out of him, he falls down, and it says the end. And the credits roll, fine. Okay. The next minute, it comes off the credits. And then Rosario Dawson,
Rosario Dawson.
she basically smashes his head in, and then that's it. Cuts to black, so he's actually dead. They actually got him back. But no, I just loved it because the stunt that involves in it, and how it's paying homage to older car chases, because we don't barely get car chases in movies now. They're
Not practical.
No, they're a dime a
practical
dozen
ones.
now, aren't they? And that's probably the last proper practical one we have. I mean, you talking about Gone in 60 Seconds, to a majority of it is, apart from that the shipping dock bit was the only bit that was not actually, which is kind of sad, but it was just nice to see one that paid tributes to a shit ton of my honorable mentions I'll mention later. So I just love the movie as well. I love Stuntman Mike as a character. We get to know him a bit more in the first half of the movie. Obviously, this is the second half. But yeah, that's why I've picked that one. I really do like that car chase scene.
It's
So, yeah.
great. It's the one I've only ever seen that one once. That's the one Tarantino film I've not seen many. I've only ever seen it once.
Once, yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like the one and done one sort of thing, because it has a great first half, and it sort of dumbs down a bit to the end, doesn't it?
But it's done exactly like it was supposed to do. Like we talked about it before. It was done for that Sunday morning matinee kind of morning entertainment thing, where you go in, you watch the films bolted together, and they weren't necessarily great films, but they were entertaining enough to keep you in a cinema. And I'd say that's what it is. It's entertaining enough. And you're right, it's a one and done. It's not one of those that you'd repeat or go back to. I mean, you could. It's just as enjoyable. It's just once you've seen it, you know the outcome.
It's the prelude to Planet Terror.
Yeah, exactly that.
That's what that. Yeah, it came out like roughly the same time, didn't it? That's great.
Well, yeah, as Grindhouse, it was said to be the whole
idea.
package.
Yeah, the idea was that the two films would go back to back in the cinema. So you go in and you wouldn't get a break or anything. You'd sit there, and I think you spoke about it on the horror episode.
Yes, yeah.
Where basically the adverts between the films aren't for real things. They're adverts done by other directors for random shit. Like the burgers, I think, are also the same burger company.
Big Kahuna Burger, isn't it?
Which is also
Yeah.
from
Pulp Fiction.
Pulp Fiction, yeah, and like other bits and pieces that have appeared in the Tarantino verse through time, and they're all created adverts for them in between. So you sit there watching it, and then another film would start, and actually you've just watched one really long film with a fake break in the middle of it. That was the idea. So you go to like I think they used to call them featurettes. So it'd be like a cinema featurette. You go there to watch a double bill, and it'd be these two films back to back. And if it was the old time, you'd have one film, then you'd have a little advert break. Everyone go get their drinks and stuff and then you'd have the next film.
Well, sometimes it'd be preceded by a cartoon.
Yeah, yeah,
So you'd have a cartoon, then a film, then the main feature. So,
Yep.
yeah, that was the idea behind Grindhouse. But yeah, good pick.
Yeah,
really
that's
good
it. Nothing else on that. So let's go to the number threes.
Number 3.
Back to you, Howard, for the number 3, sir.
Number 3, we're putting the band back together.
I had this on my list and I took it out because we were going to clash on this.
No, go ahead, sir.
I'm so sorry. We are, of course, talking about 1980s Blues Brothers. Would you like to join me on this one?
I will not because it's my number one.
Oh,
Just to spoil everything for everyone.
Spoilers.
John Belushi, Dan Aykroyd, John Candy, Carrie Fisher. The list of stars goes on, directed by John Landis. So, obviously, Jake and Elwood's Blues needs to raise, I think it's $5,000?
Yeah, for tax for the convent that they were brought
for
up in.
The orphanage.
For the
or something.
Catholic home that they were originally raised in to stop it from being closed down and potentially demolished. So they're going to put on a gig, get the old R&B blues band back together, and this is the story of them making it to the gig. Well...
It's such a great film. The music. So
I
the
feel
music.
like I don't want to talk about it now.
The music in it is classic soul. The acts in it: Cab Calloway, Aretha Franklin,
BK King.
Shaka Khan's in it as well.
Shaka Khan is in it as well. Like you have
Ray Charles.
Ray Charles,
yeah.
all sorts. Like it's just so amazing. I just the music in it is one thing. Carrie Fisher's in it for fuck's sake.
Yes, of course he is.
Fisher.
Yes.
Playing the psychotic girlfriend. Chasing Belushi around. It's the bit with the rocket launcher as well.
Oh, so stupid but brilliant.
It's just, but the car chase in this is so fucking stupid as well.
Yes, absolutely.
And like it just.
Go on, you're going to have to do it, mate. Come on.
Okay. So this is my number one. And my number one because it has some of the greatest comedy duos ever. Dan Aykroyd before Belushi died and with Belushi, they're both comedy geniuses.
Absolutely.
Animal House is fantastic with Belushi in it. Aykroyd up to this point is relatively unknown except in Saturday Night Live with Belushi doing this
Which is where the Blues Brothers was born.
That's exactly it. And they, like you say, they're Jake and Elwood Blues. They're kind of trying to put gigs together around the whole country. And each time they go, it's just chaos until they get the big arena that they wanted. And it's just fucking amazing. I have a little fact about this as well. So when they were driving the cars around, right, they were going a convoy. So when they were doing the shoots and all that. So Ray Charles takes the car for... Not Ray Charles. Who am I thinking
Because he's blind, you can't take a car.
It's not Ray Charles. It's not Ray Charles. But... I can't remember who the actor is now, singer is now, but he takes the car for a drive and he got arrested in Illinois. And he got arrested because the plates...
Cab Calloway?
I don't think it was Cab Calloway, but he got arrested because the plates on the car weren't legal. Because they were fake plates for the movie. So he got arrested, held in cells until they actually could find where he'd gone with the car. It's fucking amazing. But the car chase scene itself, they go through a shopping centre. They're going across all the lanes. There's something like 153 police cars that get taken out.
Well trained police cars.
That had the original record, didn't it?
It had the original record for the amount of destroyed police cars in a film.
Kind of gave me the myth that the police can never drive.
Yeah.
But they drive a police car, right?
They drive a decommissioned police cruiser.
So it's a Dodge Monaco with police livery.
Yes.
I think it's
Which he gets from an
1974
auction,
model.
because the
Which he buys from an
the
auction, yeah.
Bluesmobile that they refer to was like a big old Oldsmobile kind of in the style of the Blues Brothers, and it was something that they had on the show. And then, of course, the car isn't really theirs; it's rented for the show. It's someone else's. So, and they're going to destroy the fucking car. So, of course, the owner's going to go, "No, fuck you." So, what's the cheapest car you can get hold of? A police car that you can get at auction.
Which is why at the very beginning he turns up and he picks him up
In a police car,
from Joliet, and he
says,
comes out of
"What's
prison.
this?"
Where's the Bluesmobile? Where's the old
So why do I like this scene? I like it for the end scene, which I'll talk about in a second, because I fell in love with it as a kid, and I would always constantly go back and rewatch that purely because it's just so.
It's a long film, isn't it?
Illogical. It is a very long film. Yeah.
I do love this movie.
Yeah. Flying cars.
Yeah.
I mean, there are flying cars.
Reverse cars that loop as well.
There are flying cars,
Every
all sorts.
fucking
Cars
where.
end up in trucks. Cars end up in cars. It's very much the same as probably why I like Matrix Reloaded, because there's a little bit of this that reminds me of that. But
The pile-ups and everything.
yeah, the
are just
pile-ups. So
unreal.
yeah, I think there was. What did you say?
Car
about
55.
153 police
I think it's
cars
153 police cars that were taken
that were
out during this,
totaled,
that were
weren't they?
totaled,
Yeah.
They're wrecked.
Yeah, they're completely beyond belief. It's like you can see it happening on the M25 because it looks like that. The first car hits, and then the next 14 cars behind it smash, 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 smash.
Yeah, but
and then one gets through.
But it
and
wasn't
then-
just one pile-up, because
No.
they did about 2 or 3
Yeah.
pile-ups throughout the whole scene. And I thought
Smashed
it
it
was,
to pieces.
absolutely brilliant. And I like the one where it's taking place right in the dead centre of Chicago,
Yep.
underneath the elevated train. And the cops just get out of their cars and they just start firing.
Yeah.
And the cars they've driven 100, they're like...
So they were driving 118 miles per hour.
Really?
And they closed the road off, and they were going to go under that bridge, and they were doing one shot, and they did first pass at 100 miles an hour, and then we're like, it doesn't look realistic enough. So they got stunt extras to walk the streets while this car was doing 118 miles an hour underneath this bridge to make it look realistic, so that if somebody got hit, at least they were covered by insurance
Wow.
to do the film.
The point of view I like on the Dodge, because
Yep.
you've got you've got their point of view looking out of the windshield. You can see everything that's happening. So as the car's driving, you can see
Yep.
where they're going. And again, a lot of these scenes that I'm picking, you can hear the sound of the engine in the background, and this moniker, this kicks out quite a heavy engine sound, and it really gives to the scene. But you've also got a front-mounted camera looking at them into the car itself. And I was always fascinated as a kid, because every time that they went around the corner, you just see all this shit on the dashboard just moving from one side
But it was
to
the one
other.
thing that, as a kid, my mum would always do, is like, I just put it up there. And as you put it up there, it would really annoy me, because every time she went around a corner a little bit too sharp, it would come off onto my lap. But somehow they managed to have a packet of cigarettes, a lighter, and some sunglasses that just kept going backwards and forwards over that dashboard. Oh, that was so. But those two themselves, just fucking brilliant. Like they play so
deadpan.
straight.
Yeah, brilliant.
And when you go to the sequel, which I hate the sequel.
Yeah.
The sequel is just
so
the first
much.
film.
And
just
it's
the first
yeah,
film,
it is,
without John Belushi.
But Dan Aykroyd isn't Elwood Blues in that film. He's some other character.
No,
that
he's like
created.
Dan Aykroyd, isn't he?
Yeah,
He's-
and he just loses it. But this one, him and John Belushi are just fucking brilliant. All the musicians in it are from like the bands of the time. The guy that was trying to think of it, you're right. It wasn't Ray Charles. It was James Brown.
Oh, yeah,
Of
okay.
course he's in it, yeah.
And he took the car and got arrested for taking the car. But then for a short period, Dan Aykroyd was married to engaged to Carrie Fisher from this film.
Yes, he
Hey, I
was.
never knew that.
Yeah, because he saved her.
From choking.
Gave her the Heimlich maneuver, and
She
from
fell in love with him.
She fell in love with him and asked him to marry her.
Oh, wow.
Short-lived, of course.
Yeah, very
Obviously,
short-lived.
yeah.
Very short-lived.
But that entire film, like that, the two characters are great. You are rooting for them the whole way through that car chase, regardless of how ridiculous and how silly it is. They jump stuff, they fire through stuff like that. The
The engine burns out and all the oil goes on the screen, doesn't it? And
wiping it across.
Yeah,
yeah,
he's literally hanging out the
dribbling
car
away,
trying to
just
wipe
wiping
it.
it
And
down.
everything.
I like the bit where he's going and then looks through it.
Yeah.
Because what I love about this is like most car scenes, there's an act of terror or there's tension in the drivers or the passengers. They know they're being. Whereas these guys just look like they're on a Sunday stroll.
They don't give a
Honestly,
shit.
they
all the
are
cops
so
behind, but
calm, aren't they?
They don't look like they're being chased by like the
But it's
whole
a time
state police.
sensitive chase.
But they
'cause
start the drive. This is a fantastic bit. They start under the bridge after the concert. They've snuck their way out because all the super troopers and the rangers and everyone else that's hunting them down is there.
The diversion's great, isn't
They
it?
get in the car and you ready? Yeah, I've got my dark sunglasses on. It's night.
Got half a tank of gas.
Tank of gas and a packet of cigarettes. Let's drive.
Hit it.
Fucking brilliant. Like those two, that scene, that
So
film.
And not only the cops are chasing them, you've got
No.
the white power Nazis
Yes,
chasing them as
white power
well.
Nazis.
that leads
You've got
me.
the good old boys.
Yeah.
The good old country western
Country
band.
western
So
band.
that leads me into the final part of the scene. Really, it comes to a dead end on an unmade bridge.
Yeah.
where
Stupid, but brilliant.
Elwood, he comes to a screeching halt and then he starts reversing because the neo-Nazis are following them.
Yep.
So the neo-Nazis are literally on their tail and Elwood starts reversing and then, I don't know how, he defies logic, gravity and everything that we know.
And just leaps.
And
Yeah.
the car just literally backflips like that.
Yeah.
But as you
It looks
see
like someone took a Hot Wheels car and just...
But we all know why and how he does it. It's because he's on a mission from God.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden he's driving that way over the top of the neo-Nazis, and because they don't stop, they don't see it, and they literally fly off the end of this bridge. So you've got the illogical flip over the car. The Nazi sitting next to the main guy, he declares his undying love for him as they drop literally like 1,000 feet.
Yeah.
Off of a 10-foot bridge.
It doesn't even look that high, that bridge in the thing, does it?
It doesn't, because what happens
Flies
is after
up,
about
like-
3 cars in, the cars are now nose to roof. So you see it just dunk.
Yeah.
Ka-dunk, 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 ka-dunk. Like they look like dominoes falling down the
Absolutely
pack. It's
brilliant.
fucking
As a kid, I used to love that
Yep.
scene. I used to cry with laughter every time I see it.
So my mum wouldn't let me watch this film because it was I think a 15.
Yes, it is, yeah.
And so my granddad had it on VHS. And so every time we stayed at their house, I would get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and put this on,
Put it on.
watch the entirety of the film, and then go back to bed, and then get up about 20 minutes later just to go, oh, I've had a really good night's sleep. And my nan and my granddad knew I'd been watching Blues Brothers downstairs. I love this film. I love the music in it. I love the car chase.
But I think
so
even
much.
for a 15, it's a harmless film for a
It's
kid
how much,
to watch.
it's the swearing in it.
It's prolific.
Yeah.
I mean, outside of the car chase itself, I understand why it's your number one
Yeah.
because this film absolutely rocks. And yeah, it's down to Belushi and Aykroyd.
Yep.
They play it so deadpan the whole time.
Yeah.
That's where the humour is
So
derived.
be honest, because the movie is essentially a musical. The first
Yes, yeah,
40,
yeah.
the 3/4 of it. Did you ever expect a car chase at the end of
No,
this?
no.
So that's what I'm saying. You just had it.
The first time I ever watched it, this was the first time I'd ever been introduced to blues, soul, and
Yeah,
swing,
same.
this sort of music, gospel music, everything. And so seeing James Brown do his little bit in the church, do you see the light? And they're like, I see it! Yes! And then kind of like Aretha Franklin, like never knowing, I knew the song, but I didn't know who sang it. And then
Yes.
seeing her sing it, and like, as I later found out looking into this, she lip synced, but she was so out of time lip syncing because she was so used to singing her way. So every time she would sing it, she'd sing it with the band, and there'd be
It was a different type.
so when you watch the scene where she's singing, it's something about 15 takes.
Oh, wow.
And they've taken the bits where she's in time from
really?
each take
Yeah,
to get her
try
to
and
sing with it.
splice it together at the edit. Yeah,
The only one that sang live with the band behind him was James Brown.
Right.
So he had a backing track, but it was actually him singing there at the time doing his bit. But the entire film, the music is classic Sam and Dave. The guys in the band, the
which is Dan
actors-
Aykroyd and
Dan
John
Aykroyd
Belushi
and John Belushi,
themselves.
fucking brilliant. And the bit with the nun at the beginning.
Oh, it's so
I crack up every time the door opens by itself and closes. It's so stupid,
So
brilliant.
those desks and the way the nun acted. So I my primary school,
Just keeps hitting them. doesn't she?
my primary school was a convent.
Oh, yeah.
So when I'm at primary school when I see this film, and I'm just thinking, yeah, that's an accurate portrayal of a nun. Where she's beating them with a ruler, like across his. That's one for you for swearing.
No, because he gets hit and he goes, "Oh Jesus,
Yeah, she goes, blasphemy!
oh fuck!" Hey.
And that exactly was like at school.
I think my favourite song from that is Cab Calloway's Minnie the Moocher.
Minnie the Moocher.
When I saw that, I'd never seen anything like that before. Because I saw this film when I was like 8, 9,
Yeah.
10, however old I was. And that blew me away. Because, you're right. I had no exposure to R&B or blues or anything like that at all.
It wasn't, because essentially I am a white male, and at that point we're listening to Capital Radio, and it's all kind of bright, shiny,
all the
teeny
chart stuff, isn't
bands,
it? Yeah.
white pop, all that sort of stuff. And this is the first time I get introduced to this, and I'm like, this is amazing. Like, this is unbelievable. Shake a Tail Feather. It's the first time you've seen a flash mob ever. And they're all there in the street doing the old dance.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
It's fucking brilliant. The film itself then leads into that car chase, and like you say, it's a musical. It is up to that point. Like, it's,
And then there's a car chase that's thrown in.
yeah, it's Lin-Manuel Miranda, and then all of a sudden there's cars at the end of it. You're like, well, this is the best of everything. I've got action and I've got music.
And I love the
Action, comedy, music.
yeah,
Oh, just
I
what a
love
blend.
the scene from John Candy where he goes, "Oh, dispatch, we're in a truck."
Because this is car 55. We're in a truck.
It's fantastic.
John Candy's amazing in anything.
Yeah,
in
brilliant.
anything.
Definitely.
Sorry, dude.
That's right. That's right.
So then what is your number 3 then?
So my number 3 has one of my all-time favourite actors in it. It is a car chase the entire way through the film. Basically, they've got to get Lucille from one side of the country to the other side of the country.
I nearly picked this.
And it is my all-time favourite character, car. I didn't realise the actor of this, Hal Needham, had also done my next... Anyway, Smokey and the Bandit 2.
Honourable mention.
The whole fucking film is a car chase.
Yeah.
And it starts out, so the premise of the film is they have to get an elephant from one side of the country to the other, Lucille. It turns out the elephant's pregnant, but that's another story. And what happens is, during that chase, Sally Fields, who I never expected to be a love interest for anyone, suddenly jumps into the bandit's car in a wedding dress. And he's like, okay, well, I'm going to drive with you in the car. He's not really interested. He's just trying to get rid of her and stuff like that. And it turns out that she was actually getting married to the nephew of the sheriff, Buford T. Justice.
My tick turd.
And he was getting married to his nephew. So now Buford T. Justice has a vendetta against the bandit. And so he's going to stop the bandit at all kind of efforts, and thus the Smokies are the police, the bandit being Burt Reynolds, and they're trying to get from one side this elephant from one side to the other. His job is to make sure that the road is clear and safe for this elephant to get from one side of the country to the other. It's the bit at the end when he turns around and he goes, "How many trucks can you see?" He goes, "I only see one. You're gonna need some good glasses, because we got a whole load of trucks here." And then they just start feeling out, and it's all the police cars. And then he turns around and goes, "This is going to be one hell of a game of chicken." And so the police car's coming towards the trucks, and it's the biggest game of chicken ever. They're all coming towards each other, and they're just kind of, at this point, it's a demolition derby, and the losers are going to be the police and the Mounties. This fucking Mounties, Canadian police in cars, out of their element, obviously, because they're not on horses anymore, and the cars are just being smashed up left, right, and centre. Like, there's a one of the old American dust trucks. It picks up the car, flicks it over, puts it in the back. Then another one goes between two trucks. Another one has like a big sewer tube on the back, falls off the back. Car goes through it and gets skimmed, like the roof comes off and the sides come off. Like, this is just a carnage. Like, the entire thing is just, each police car, it's almost on a par with Blues Brothers for the silliness of each police car's wrecked destruction, and the trucks themselves as well. Just each one is a different version of a lorry transporting something, and they're smashing them up, they're smashing into them. But it's the Pontiac Trans Am, that car that Burt Reynolds drives, the T-top, as he goes through. And he has that car with Sally Fields in it. It's just fucking brilliant. And you see the brothers, the two, I can't remember what their names are, but the twins they're called, and they're with the elephant and they're cheering the police getting smashed up. Now. And but at this point, Lucille has had a baby elephant as well. So there's a baby elephant and a mummy elephant there, and everything's being smashed. It's fucking brilliant. Like, this film, I don't know how they thought it up. I mean, obviously the first film's kind of set the tone for Smokey and the Bandit, but this second film is just fantastic.
And he wasn't in the third one, was he?
No, it was
the
guy who's the truck driver.
Yeah, it was. I can't remember his name.
Because he was pretending to be the bandit in order to trick Smokey.
Yeah. And it's annoying because it's a character that Burt Reynolds can do did do really well. I mean, if you watch, I think it was called The Stuntman, and he in that is kind of washed up stuntman, but you almost feel like it's him playing the bandit at the end of his life, end of his career, sort of thing. Burt Reynolds, like I always liked Burt Reynolds. I think this is probably what set me on to kind of like liking him as an actor, even when he came back for Boogie Nights. But like the bandit is just pivotal in his ethos, his mythology. I just really love Burt Reynolds in this role. I love the car. I can't believe that Sally Fields is the love interest, but you know what? She does it really well. She does it really well. And the entire kind of carnage that ensues, the car chases, the smashes, like every time you see the bandit away from the truck, you know there's a car chase coming. That police car's going to turn up, and you hear the music. It's almost like a Jaws sort of thing.
I was going to say, yeah.
And then you have that car there, the gold kind of sedan with them in it, and then him telling you, Junior, what do you think we're going to do? I don't know, Dad. What we're going to do? And it's like fucking brilliant. Like the whole thing is just fantastic. They play those two very, very well. And the character of Buford T. Justice comes back later as well. Not in my list, but in another franchise, and it's just fucking brilliant, that car chase as well. So I will leave it there, but that's my number 3, Smokey and the Bandit 2.
I know what you're talking about.
Do you know the one I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about, yeah.
Yeah, honourable mention for me, because this is the one that used to be on ITV all the time.
Yeah. And I think that's why I loved it, because I watched it so many times. But yeah, Smokey and the Bandit 2.
Nice. Over to Chris then, number 3.
All right, well, so we are going to San Francisco.
Here we go.
Here we are.
Here we go.
And it's not that one. We are going to 1996. Michael Bay, Brockheimer,
Yep.
Nick Cage.
Yep.
And we are talking The Rock.
I honestly thought this was going to be on number 1.
I thought this was going to be number 1.
This is like pretty much my number 1 film. You know, like if I just want something, like any time I can watch The Rock. It's the only film I've ever watched twice in a row as an adult. Many films you watched as a kid, like, I'll watch it again. Yeah, just couldn't be bothered to put another disc in, so we just watched it again. For me...
But it is watchable.
When the film has such a fast pace as it is, and it starts with Ed Harris's character, who's an old general, and he's upset with how the government has treated his men, told lies to the families, and basically never given them any military burials or any sort of like money towards healthcare. They're just lied to, and he's basically had enough. So he hatches a plan to steal like 16 VX poison gas rockets from like some underground bunker. This scene starts off so well, does it? But the whole movie just has a nice little fast sort of pace that you know it's building up. They start to take over Alcatraz, and then we learn out like how are they gonna.
What kind of fucked up tour is this?
How are they going to get in here? So someone says that they need someone.
It's one of the best lines in that movie.
Someone needs to know, like, we can get some information about, because they've taken over Alcatraz, which is the prison inside San Francisco. So one of the FBI agents tells them that they have this unnamed convict who's John Mason of Sean Connery. Which could be an Easter egg, could be Bond.
Yeah,
because that's the
theory, isn't it?
That's the theory that it could be Bond, where he's taken away because so he's special forces. Well, like Her Majesty's Secret Service. So he basically gets let out with Nick Cage being brought to San Francisco on a training exercise, and it starts with Sean Connery demanding loads of stuff. He wants a suite at the Belmont Hotel, a haircut, and he's basically...
He wants his tailor as well.
He wants a tailor, he wants it all. So he's up in the hotel suite, he's taking the mick, he's ordered loads of room service, food's turned up, and this barber's turned up, who's quite hilarious in this scene. And this is where the film starts to pick up pace, because he's always been a trickster and an escape artist, and he basically Jimmy's a little noose and hooks it round the FBI bosses, chucks him over the balcony, hooks him up, which then allows him to just boot it. He then gets followed by Nick Cage, and this is where, like, I was like, oh, I like my chases realistic, and this is where it just kind of goes. This one and 2 just blows that all out of the water. So chasing them all through the hotel, and it's a good few minutes of him being on our foot chase, and then it gets to the actual car chase. We're outside, and Sean Connery, Mason's gone in, and he's taken the first car he sees, which happens to be a big armoured Humvee. And then, what is it? You got the guy who's, I don't want no dinks, dents, or scratches. Have your ass.
And he has to be German, like Arnie, doesn't he?
Oh, yeah, he's brilliant. And like that character he gets quoted just as much as any other.
Else, yeah.
Like he has no name. He's just Humvee guy to me. But if we borrowed something, you fuck it up. You go any dinks, dents. It's always been a quote. So he jumps into this. Nick Cage comes out, pans to the right, and there's a big yellow 355 Ferrari, and he jumps in, steals it, and this is where the chase just goes from 0 to 11, and it has everything that you would have in a computer game. We have pedestrians, we have people with glass panes walking in. We have the biggest product placement of like water bottles and like and then to top it off we've got was it the Paralympic wheelchair team, like
none of this needed to be there.
None of it needs to be there, but for this film I'm already watching this going, oh my god, my mate who I'm going to tell, like, we have to watch The Rock. Like, the first time I saw it, that's all I'm thinking, oh, my mate's going to love this. We're going to watch this shit out of it.
Of course, you've got an exploding tram.
I was going to say
which we've always said is the plot for The Rock 2.
Yeah.
His justice and his revenge
Justice
score.
for tram.
Like, I'm going to hunt that motherfucker down. And he has to team up with Mason because, like, he's on him. So basically, it's a good 4 minutes of, like, Nick Cage absolutely thrashing this Ferrari through in between vehicles. He's getting smashed up on the big, what's it, the money meters and like
the old
oh, it just kills
the
you.
old parking type of thing.
It just kills you. Like,
Image,
oh, that's a real nice Ferrari. It's like,
I know, it's such a great car as well.
I love it when the Ferrari comes to a stop.
and
he gets out, and the guy goes, dude, you fucked your car. Your
you
Ferrari
just fucked up
up.
your
And
Ferrari.
It's not mine.
He
It's
makes
not
his
mine.
Nick Cage face goes, it's not mine.
But it's the low angle shot and gets him up.
Yeah.
That's the typical
for me,
Michael Bay shot, isn't it?
I wasn't on the episode of like the greatest scores.
Yeah, it's got that.
But for me,
There's always a part 2, my friend.
But The Rock, spoiler.
Oh, yeah.
YouTube's going to be filled of part 2s, by the way.
The score, because it's one of these songs that is probably about 15 minutes long.
Yeah.
And throughout the film, they cut it. Like, so you have a little bit, little bit, and then like Pirates of the Caribbean, you got the really fast bit, and so it kind of, it's like one song all the way through that gives you the whole atmosphere time.
They do the same with Crimson Tide, which is Jerry Bruckheimer again. It's the same song, but it's cut differently, so you don't get the full extent to the very end of it.
To the end of it. But like, for me, it was just, at that point, Nick Cage could do absolutely no wrong for me at that age.
I mean, he was at his pinnacle with this film, wasn't he?
100%.
Like him and Brockheimer, just like, you're wrong for a winner. It's just like, that's what I was like.
The fast cuts in that chase scene as well make sense. Like,
Yeah.
the two robots rolling down a hill and cut doesn't make sense. But in that scene where you go from, Nick Cage to Sean Connery, and the vehicles and all the scenes in the street, and you go back to the vehicle speed, and it makes sense. Like cut, and then you get that urgency that there's something going on here that needs to be stopped or something has to happen. It works. That's what I don't like a lot about Bay films, but in this, that The Rock is definitely where he's done his best kind of.
Like the
It's his best
action for
film
Bay,
ever.
like he either gets it right for me, like perfect, or it's he's so far off the mark. It's just like you're just throwing explosions in there. But like, even though people could just watch The Rock and go, they just throw explosions, but they're all perfect.
You know, if it's going to be a Michael Bay romantic comedy, and you're like, why is there an explosion? I don't understand.
It's like opera, isn't it? You can have an explosion. You can have an explosion. You can have an explosion.
So, but like, what I like about it is that you find like Stanley, like Nick Cage's character, he's not used to being out in the field. He's very like, whereas, like, even though he's been in prison for like a good, he's still so relaxed and he's bashing stuff. He's just making phone calls.
He's still James Bond, John Mason.
John Mason, yeah. Literally. So from the beginning, and then obviously that's kicking off, and it's just like, it's already turning into like being one of my. So like when you say like, does a car chase? It's kind of just.
It's in like your favorite movie of all time. I'm surprised it's number 3.
No, but it's only because my number 1 is the driving is just so
okay. Yeah, and it's more about the scene than the movie.
And number 2, like the fields would be swapped around, if you know. So it'd be like. The next one is just a lot faster.
So this is a case of where you love the film and the car chase just elevates it a little.
Yeah, just elevates it to the point where it makes it doesn't make the movie, but it adds.
It explains something about the characters.
Yeah, it just makes this like this journey of like why I really like The Rock. Yeah. So yeah, it's like, but if it was going to be like in top films, it would be. Pretty much up there. Of course. Yeah.
Nice. Anything else?
No, I love The Rock. Watch it.
Watch it.
Watch it.
No, I love The Rock.
Okay, then. So my number 3 is going to be an 80s cop film that no one talks about. It's a very, very underrated cop movie and probably in my top 3 cop movies of all time. But it is William Friedkin's To Live and Die in LA from 1985.
I don't think I've ever watched it.
No one has. That's the thing. It is such an underrated cop movie. But the thing is, William Friedkin also directed, sorry if it's on anyone's list, The French Connection.
Nope.
Which anyone... If you know your film history, it says it has one of the best car chases ever. BS. This is way better than that. And it was done by the same guy. Anyway, I won't go into it too much because I don't want to spoil it for you. If you would watch it. We do a commentary corner of it or something. But I'll go into the scene very quickly of why it's in my number 3. So it stars William Peterson and William Dafoe. And William Peterson has basically apprehended a suspect who he's thought has drugs or money on him or whatever. So they hold him up under a bridge, whatnot. Turns out it's a decoy and they get ambushed by gangsters. So, of course, they get in their car and they drive away by, only one other car's chasing them. So they start chasing. This is a very realistic tone, dark, gritty cop film. So the car chase alone will be quite realistic. It's probably the only realistic one in my top 5, to be honest. But they get to a point where they're driving down alleyways, they're getting stopped by trucks and they're trying to get them to move and all that sort of stuff by being chased. There's a scene where they they carry on driving through LA. So basically, it's how do I say this now? So William Friedkin kind of makes the Los Angeles the playground for stunt drivers, if you will, in this car chase scene. So they get to a point where they're driving beside a train, literally drive in front of the train before it gets railed off, whatnot, and superbly timed. How they choreographed that in the 80s, I've got no idea. Anyway, they fall down to one of those. It's like a flood tunnel they have in America.
They have the overflow.
Storm. Yeah,
that's the one. Yeah. So they drive down there and they're like, "Whoo, we've lost the guy. It's we're free. We've got away." There's 5 other cars coming towards them now. So like, holy shit, what do we do? So they drive off at one point and they get to a point where they get all cornered. So what's the best thing to do? Let's drive in the opposite direction to opposite traffic. Now this is before Matrix Reloaded did it, and how it is shot and how he does it, everything is. You see cars getting tumbled, you see trucks, breaking down everything, and it's got M25 ain't got shit on this car scene on it. Honestly, it's so good, and how it is still got that tension of are they going to get caught? Because there's more gangsters after now, and there's all guns shooting at their car and everything, and how the driving's done. Like you go back and talk about Gone in 60 Seconds, how he double clutches and stuff, and how you see this guy brake, accelerate, because he's trying to dodge all these other cars because he's a cop at the end of the day. He doesn't want to drive into people and whatnot. So, again, it's just I love that sense of realism to it. I mean, there was another one in there that had sort of a realistic car chase to it, but I just thought about this and I thought, no, this actually does have a pretty good car chase scene in it. So this one is why it's got to be number 3. Like I said, it's like when we talked about the transformation scene in The Wolves with American Wolf in London. I always prefer the transformation scene in The Howling. I always prefer that one better because it's not really talked about. It's underrated, and not American Werewolf in London gets always the limelight to it, if you will. This one's the same with French Connection. And French Connection is literally just driving down a straight road in New York for ages, and it's a bit boring, it's a bit tame. But I guess for this time, it was fantastic. But William freaking up that notch with this one. Watch it, see it to believe it. It's not very long, but again, that's the sense of realism. If it goes on too long, you go into the territory of like, it's a bit too much.
Differently, what needs to change
exactly
to keep your attention.
So practically in that for that, because I wanted it to go, no, this is better than French Connection, but see it for yourself and judge for yourself.
Nice pick.
So that's my number 3. Let's go to the number 2s.
Number 2.
Back to you, Howard. Number 2, sir. Try not to take Mario's number 2, please.
I'll try not to take Mario's number 2 or his number 1. So we're going to go to 1971 when William Friedkin filmed one of the best cars.
How dare you?
No,
Just you wait.
Genuinely, it is The French Connection.
Oh, you did pick it?
I did pick it. Yeah.
Sorry, dude.
No, that's okay. I've never seen The Living Die in LA, so I can't. I cannot even comment on the fact that it was potentially the better car scene. I mean, I think what William Friedkin has potentially done is he's taken his work in The French Connection and obviously
absolutely, totally.
produced a better scene. I really like The French Connection. I love Gene Hackman.
I love the movie,
So you've got Gene Hackman, Roy Scheider, who are Jimmy Popeye Doyle,
That's it, Doyle.
Buddy Cloudy Russo.
Jesus.
I had to write this down. I can't remember any of it. So they belong to the Narcotics Bureau, and they stumble on a heroin smuggling ring that's coming out of Marseille into New York. This car chase begins when Popeye Doyle survives a sniper attack from a French hitman.
Yeah.
And the French hitman makes his way onto an elevated train in New York, and that's when the chase begins.
He drives underneath the train, doesn't he?
Yeah. So I said about unconventional chase scenes, car chase scenes. This is one of them because he's chasing an elevated train. So he flags down it's a Pontiac Le Mans, 1971 brown Pontiac Le Mans. Convinces the guy that he needs to take this car, and this guy's sort of effing and blinding as he drives away. That's when it picks up. And because until this point, I think this film's a little bit plodding. It's a very standard kind of mobster, cops and robbers types of film. And very well acted. William Friedkin, so obviously it's a brilliant film. And the plot's amazing. It's brilliant directed. But yeah, I know you said it's basically a straight drive. It's not quite a straight drive.
Not quite, but it's a training scene.
Might as well be.
I'll tell you what I like. I think
there was a weave.
Yeah.
Apart from pedestrians, a little weave here and there.
And number 1 on my list are perfect examples of practical car chases. And this kind of set the tone for the things that were to come. So I mentioned about the Blues Brothers and the front-mounted camera. Well, Friedkin actually developed that concept with this film. So he put the camera as point of view from Gene Hackman's point of view, looking straight out of the windshield of the car, and we get to take that journey with him. So yeah, he's careering his way down the streets of New York, and believe it or don't believe it, no permits were actually filed for this film.
Jesus.
No, that's true.
Yeah, so literally they didn't have the right to film any of this.
Street.
No streets were closed. Nobody was informed.
Jesus.
They nearly hit pedestrians as well, didn't they?
Well, so the stunt driver actually hits a New York pedestrian.
Oh, shit.
For real. The guy was fine. I mean, I think he sued the company ultimately, but they included the scene in the film. And every single car that is hit in the film was for real.
So it's an actual person's car.
Yeah,
and
so
run.
they're just crashing into these. And, there's about 3 crashes, but yeah, every single one of them was done for real. It wasn't
How can it be a crash? He's driving in a straight line.
because they were doing it on the
I'm
fly.
joking, I'm joking.
No, but basically, I mean, before Sweded was the thing, they
Yeah,
had
yeah.
to Swede this whole thing because they didn't have the permits or the rights to.
You'd never
perform
get a
this.
film now like
No.
that.
No,
chance.
Without
oh my
permits, like-
God, the movie production will be shut down before you know before a blink of an eye. So
Pissed off would you be? You woke up to go to work. You're
Yeah,
like, car's
"Dude,
crashed.
what's going on?"
It's just like its roof, and you're like, oh shit, aliens.
yeah, totally. The character of Popeye Doyle is driving it like he's in Grand Theft Auto. I think that's what's great because, like with Gone in 60 Seconds, you can hear the engine in the background. There's no music to this scene, so you can hear the engine in the background, and every sort of clutch drop and gear change, it's all present. So a lot of the films that we're now talking about come from films like The French Connection. I know it's not your favourite. It's been
I like
top
it.
for-
Everyone raves about it, and it's just like, when you finally watched it, I'm like,
Because-
it's okay. So basically, there's another film with Roy Schneider in it called 7 Ups, and I
Yes,
think
I know
that,
that film,
and
yeah.
I prefer that car chase to that as well.
Oh,
so
no, fair play. Yeah. I mean, Schneider doesn't really have a lot to do in this
No,
film.
no, of course.
He's kind of eclipsed by Gene Hackman because he's such an amazing actor. And
Yeah.
this character, he really drives this film, literally. But yeah, I think it is purely for the case of that it set the tone of things to come for a lot of the car chases that are now on everybody's lists. My number one, I think, tops that, which is why this is number 2.
Okay.
But from a practical element and for the fact that it was a pioneer.
Oh yeah, and how he
of
actually done it,
practical-
like you said as well. So absolutely.
Yeah, kind of off the wall filmmaking, absolutely brilliant. So I won't go on too much because it's quite a straightforward car chase. But for the not non-standard element of he's chasing a bloody elevated train, and the fact that he catches up with it once, and the elevated train just
He keeps getting out, doesn't he, to
Yeah.
try and get the guy?
He gets out once
Yeah.
and he gets up and the train doesn't stop because the French hitman, he convinces the driver to keep going, even though he doesn't want to. And then when he reaches the next stop, the train driver actually has I think is a heart attack because
It's a shock, isn't it?
Yeah, and he slumps over at the controls and it just
Keeps going.
it keeps going, which ultimately is what fucks the hitman up, and he catches up with him and he gets him. But yeah, it's quite a brutal scene, really. I think because it's so visceral, that's why.
But it's the realism to it again. It's
Yeah,
the,
totally, yeah. So that's why it's my number 2.
Nice, good pick. What's your last one, sir?
My number 2, because my number 1 is still better than the French Connection. So my number 2, at the time, was slated as a number 2, and it is a sequel number 2 as well, by the same director, Hal Needham. Has in it Burt Reynolds, Dom DeLuise, Dean Martin,
Love
Sammy
this
Davis Jr.,
film.
Telly Savalas,
I
Shirley
love this
MacLaine,
film.
Catherine Bach, Tony Danza. Fuck yeah! It includes Jackie fucking Chan and Richard Kiel. Yes, Jaws from fucking James
Yeah.
Bond, and it is Cannonball Run 2.
Yes, you put the sequel.
I put the
I
sequel.
loved it.
Yeah, Cannonball
two-
Run
Two
2.
is so
Two is
good.
better
It's
than number
so
one.
much
Yeah.
better than number 1, despite what the critics said, which a lot of them just went, it's shit, don't bother. This is fucking brilliant.
Yes.
The chase scene in particular is the one with the Mitsubishi Starion with Jackie Chan. And
Yeah.
How the fuck you've got Jaws in the front? He's nearly 7 foot tall, I think, isn't he?
In that
And
car,
Richard
yeah.
Kiel is massive, and yet the car is quite low down, quite low back, and yet in the back, not even in a seated position, off to the side in a kind of like a tactical position is Jackie Chan working computers and
Yeah.
video screens to get this thing going. It's such a great film from start to finish. So the premise of the film is a sheikh who did not win the Cannonball Run from the first film, goes to see his dad, and his dad goes, well, you've disappointed me, you should have won. You need to win a cannonball. So he goes, but there is no cannonball. He goes, well, make one. So the sheikh creates the Cannonball Run
To win it.
to win it, puts up a winnings of, I think it's $2 million or something, and then
Big
puts
money
out,
at the time.
and puts out that every driver must come in and join in this race, and essentially it is the police trying to stop all the cannonballers from winning. The Sheikh gets kidnapped, and the kind of side story is that everyone is trying to win the race, but also unkidnap the Sheikh, rescue the
So they
Sheikh.
can get paid.
So they can get paid. Burt
Don
Reynolds,
DeLuise is a belly dancer in that.
fucking brilliant.
It's the best ever. I'm sorry.
It's that, and what's his character? Bomb Boy or something?
Yeah.
Like, fucking brilliant.
Oh no, no, he's Captain Chaos.
Captain
Captain-
Chaos.
no,
Captain
yeah.
Chaos.
Captain
Dun,
Chaos.
dun, dun.
Chaos has arrived. He is so fucking good. It's got such a star-studded cast.
Yeah.
It has so many cars, trucks, vans, all sorts. I just think it's a car chase from start to finish.
Yeah.
It is.
From the minute the film starts till the end of the film, you just have car after car, police chase after police chase. Yet again, you have to reinvest the characters of Buford T. Justice and Junior are back in it as well. They're all racing and chasing to get to the finish line to win the race.
They're like wacky races. Everyone's
is
got
a
their own
wacky
character,
race.
Everyone's got their own
car.
characters, their own cars. Yeah, they've all customised little bits, and they've all done this. There's a couple of bits where there are people, the kidnappers who are trying to kidnap, and then you got the people that are trying to beat the kidnappers, but then you got people who are trying to re-kidnap from the kidnapper.
Yeah.
and the vehicles will have like little tweaks and tricks and stuff. Like the first one was really good as well. Like Jackie Chan with the video screen that nobody had ever seen before in the I think it's Twitter MR2. And he's got that little screen in there and he's watching the porn on it, behind the green door. And then you get this film as well where now he's stereotyped into this Chinese genius and he talks Chinese and somehow Richard Keel is able to understand it and
right.
talk for him. And the scene that I love the most is the chasing that Starion, and the Starion kind of like he outpaces the police, and then the police turn up again. And they're like, "Oh shit, what are we gonna do? I've got an idea." And they drive off the road into the lake.
Oh yeah.
And as they get
They
into the
turned
lake,
into something.
the police, the police then turn around and go, "Oh," and they do the whole music, death at sea sort of thing.
Oh yeah, they put debris out. So
And they
they
put debris, they put debris out, and then he's sitting there, and Richard Keel is just laughing. He goes, "Should we give him an oil slick? Let's give him an oil slick." Pushes the button, and the oil slick goes up, and they're pissing themselves laughing under the water, and they're still going along. And then the next bit is, hold on, the radar's picked up an enemy, and it's 3 drunks in a fishing boat,
Yes.
and he goes, "Ready the depth charges!" And he goes to blow up the fishing boat with the 3 guys in it. But the film itself, from start to finish, is just
I'm so
ridiculous.
glad you picked the sequel, dude.
Jackie Chan's character, isn't he called Hijack?
He is hijacked.
And at one point they set off a booster on the car and
Yeah,
go,
yeah.
"That's a hijack."
That's it. It's fucking brilliant.
Yeah, it's a good film.
And yet again, the Pontiac Trans Am making its return with Burt Reynolds as the Bandit again as well. I love those films. Like Smoking the Bandit 1, Smoking the Bandit 2, Cannibal Run 2, Cannibal Run, I think it's Fever, is the 1989
That's the one
one.
with John Candy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Doesn't work.
Doesn't work. He's lost it. Then you had Rat Race with...
Yeah.
Bean.
2000s, yeah.
Which was okay. It wasn't great, but it had the same kind of...
It was funny.
So
There was-
yeah,
there was a hilarious scenes in that.
It had the spirit of the Cannibal Run, but it wasn't the Cannibal Run. This is another film that, Fast and Furious is itching towards. You can just see them slowly getting more and more outrageous of each one until eventually they're going to be like Fast and Furious, Cannibal Run 7. It's just... fucking-
If they even did a remake, it wouldn't be a comedy. It would be
No,
all
it'd be
serious
serious,
Cannibal
yeah.
Run, wouldn't it?
Well, I think you could have like a mix, because you could run that now. If you got enough petrol heads together to do that film, Jay Leno before he pops his clogs or before his head explodes, because it seems to be getting bigger as his body gets smaller. But if you get him to do that as well, like here's a character in it, and you get loads of the petrol heads around, you could have such great fun with it. I can't remember, Eric Bana, he did a film about his favourite car. And it was an Australian, I can't remember the name of the car, but it's an Australian Ford you can only get in Australia. He did a whole thing about it. You get him as playing as, Bruce Banner, the Hulk. You get him playing like Bruce Banner-ish character and then turning into the Hulk halfway through the fucking race. I think you've got, gold there.
Yeah.
You've got all the characters all these people, like Leno having a chat show in his car while he's going along, like just randomly with strangers. He's just picking up hitchhikers as he goes. You could have such fun with this. I think it doesn't. I think years ago we used to have a European one, which was the Gumball Run,
Yes, that's right.
A Gumball Rally. I think
Gumball
it was.
Rally, yeah.
That was it. And that was the across Europe one. It was kind of people in their big rich cars doing it. I don't think you want big rich cars. I think you want somebody's taken, a Supa and they kind of put a
Like souped it up everywhere.
or put a micro engine in it. You want silliness. You want stupid. You literally want, like you said, you want like anthill mob sort of cars. You want to
absolutely.
You want to have that as the Cannonball Run. You want to have these cars. They mean something, but the race is meaningless, and it's the characters within the race. But in this, it is a car chase from start to finish, and it is the stupidest car chase ever.
It's the best ever. I'm so glad you picked it.
There is no storyline to this film, despite what I've just told you about the synopsis of the film. There is nothing.
But it goes so well
It's
still,
so
regardless.
good. It's almost like a clip show of the greatest car chases.
Yeah.
And the outtakes of the film as well.
Yes, I was about to say that. The end of
It's the first time I'd ever think. I think you see it in Smokey and the Bandit, and I never understood it. And then I was old enough to understand it after I saw the Cannonball Run, the outtakes at the end of the film, and realised, actually, they fucked up, and it's funny, and it really is. And each little bit, it's just such a great film. It's such a great idea.
I like it where Burt Reynolds, he fluffs one of his lines and he goes to Dom DeLuise, he goes, "You get back in the bomb and I'll get my teeth fixed."
That's it.
That's it, yeah. But even Dom DeLuise's laugh, man, that
brilliant.
would crack me. I could never work with him because he would literally stitch me up every take. Honestly,
him and Burt Reynolds.
They're both a duo though. They're a great duo. Those
They're
two,
fantastic.
Yeah,
because he was also in Smokey and the Bandit too. He was the
That's right,
vet
he
that
was.
comes along
Yes,
to
you're
look
right.
after the elephants. They pick him up, don't they? And he's a drunk.
Yeah.
It's such a great film. So good. So yeah, my number 2, Cannonball Run 2.
nice one. Honourable mention from me. Nice. Go on, Chris. What's your number 2, sir?
So my number 2 is we don't normally do this on the M.T.V.B, which is same director, same producer. We're going for it. Bad Boys 2.
Hey,
Michael Bay. Jerry Bruckheimer.
You called it before this. You said it was going to be a Bay fest.
Yeah, it was literally, that's what I mean. It was like, for this, I thought Bad Boys was brilliant. And I think Bad Boys 2 is a brilliant sequel for what I kind of wanted it. But I like the fact it's long. I think it's the longest action movie there is. It's like 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
And for me,
there is a little bit of a letdown. There's like, as in slowdown, not as in letdown.
Yeah, but to me, it just kind of...
Yeah.
I love this whole film, but this is where I was like, the whole realism just is so...
Yeah, it's like when they go to Cuba, then it's like the realism's done.
But the scene I'm on about is the Ferrari.
Yeah.
On the when they're in they're doing the stakeout, and obviously they're trying to chase.
Yeah, it's a good scene. Yeah.
And this it's about, I think I want to say between 10 to 15 minutes of actual screen time.
Yeah.
And it's basically Will Smith in his personalised, was it Ferrari? I think it's
a Porsche, isn't it?
It's a Porsche 911 Carrera Turbo.
Oh yes, no, that's in the.
Is that in the first
That's
one?
in the first one. It's the Ferrari 575 2002. That's in the first one, the fastest production car. Budget.
Ever, yeah.
So this one starts with the Haitians trying to comedy it and steal the money drop, which happens to be Martin Lawrence's sister, which they don't realise that she's part of, I think, is it DEA?
Yes.
They don't realise that she's that, and like she's in trouble. And from the moment the chase starts, it's just all out action from the chase scene, the first bit where they're hammering it down and they're looking at the guy.
Yeah.
And he's like, shoot him. He's like, and then he just ends up showing his badge. And like, that's why I like this bit, because it's got the comedy of Martin Lawrence and Will Smith. It works well.
He shoots in the car, doesn't he?
He shoots in the car,
You've got the dynamic, haven't you? You've got, so Will Smith, who can do comedy, but he doesn't tend to. He plays that straight, serious, this is my domain.
This is mine.
And Martin Lawrence plays the wayward, kind of off into the distance. I am loose as it goes. He's Robin Williams, for lack of kind of any other reference. He is just off on his own kind of comedy kind
just
of thing.
doing itself.
Yeah.
He's got his mate with him. But from the moment that shot's fired, it then just goes to 11. From 0 to 11, just non-stop. And you've got chase scenes, and then you've got pile-ups, you've got smashes.
And then combine it all in one, and
you've got shootouts.
Yep.
And like machine guns. There's bits where they even park the car, have a shootout, get back into
in the
it.
car.
and then they're chasing it down, and the after the big massive pileup, all the Haitians go and steal a massive transporter, Ultra Magnus, and then they're all on the back like hanging off like pirates, like just shooting, and this is where they get onto the freeway, and they're basically just releasing
Cars.
Unloading one after the
just
other,
one
aren't they?
after
Yeah.
another.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a full CGI
Bounce around.
art, but
But to be honest, when I first watched it, I was convinced that was a real cars
100%,
doing
yeah.
it then.
this
I
thing
didn't think of it at all.
just going for it, and and you don't realise it until you're older. And you're like, they're only chasing a HGV, and this is a Ferrari on a long.
Yeah, he keeps holding back
long
for so long,
motorway.
doesn't he?
Like, they are nowhere near closer to getting to this HGV. But to me, I don't care. But in another franchise, I would be kicking off.
Yeah.
I'm not having that. This is so unrealistic.
If it was
Shit.
yeah, exactly that. If it was in Fast and the Furious, you'd be sat there going, "Are you taking the
Are
piss?
you taking the absolute
It's a
piss?
fucking-
That is not real.
It's a 1.5 litre diesel, and you're running, a V8. You're kidding, aren't you? That is going to piss all over that. I don't understand what you're racing. What exactly you're doing here? One wheel? I don't know.
But it's like what Bay did for The Rock in that bit. He's just gone, okay, so I need The Rock, but then like times it by 10. Like, let's give me The Rock, and then we'll boost it up. We got double the amount of like car chase, and the action is just. I think he destroys a boat, destroys cars. Like the boat isn't even in the water.
No, it's on the back of a trailer or something. Isn't it?
You got the boat, and it's on like gets chained, and it's
Yes,
it's like
that's
just
right.
being, it's just the whole scene is just it's great. But that another one where it goes, it makes why I love this film, because without that film, it's still a great film, but I'm not thinking about that. And there's been so many quotes that me and my mates have just been like, "You can make it from now on. That's how you drive." But even if it's the other
That's how you're
film,
supposed to drive.
that even though that's the other one, but like if you spill something, you're like, oh, you just fucked up. It's all of the when you've got all the. I hear you say all of this stuff where you go, oh, you quote that film so much, and I'm like, I've never quoted that film. And I hear all these different quotes when I'm doing it with you guys, but the Rock and like the Bad Boys, like they are quotes that me and my mates have been saying for absolute years, and it's just like it's just a perfect action movie.
Devil is not welcome here.
Yeah. Why do you have to call him the devil in his house?
But no, going back to that scene though, there's a shot where a car flips just over Martin Lawrence.
Yeah.
Apparently that's real. That's
Is
like
it?
a real
Yeah.
practical one, wasn't it? Just that one shot.
Oh, you would have thought that would have been the one that was.
CGI'd, yeah, but
I think it was
remember he had
accidental as well or
I remember he had an
something.
interview with
Yeah.
it or something because there's glass that comes off it and actually hits him because he does this when it goes over him.
I
And
think
they said it was a real one.
Yeah, I don't think it was accidental. I think like they actually, he actually had to accelerate through because otherwise he was getting hit by the car. And so it's just more luck than judgment that they get the shot and the car misses
And avoid
them
it at the same
completely.
time, yeah.
And a hefty insurance, not only for the actors but for the car involved as well.
Yeah, because I think because Bad Boys had come out, was it 93, 94?
No,
The first one was
95.
95. Whatever it was like I had to wait for it to be released at the video store, and then my mum would go,
Yep.
no, you will
That's
like,
how I saw
you
it,
will
yeah.
like Bad Boys. It was one of those ones, like certain films, she might not kind of let me
Yeah.
give me the actual copy to rent, but I could watch it. But Bad Boys was one of, as soon as this comes out, because she went to see it,
Yeah.
as soon as this come out, I'll rent
Sure,
this for
yeah.
you. And I was like, so that, and then I waited it was like 10 years or 8 years,
years,
was it? 8
8
years. And I was just old enough to get into the cinema to see,
Yeah.
and this thing just blew my mind at the cinema. Like the camera angles, it's just, yeah. And it made the film, and it just literally became one of my favourite action films, movies as well. Just, yeah, Bad Boys 2.
But you can tell that ever since the Matrix had come out that films were taking bits from it. And Michael Bay does it as well in this, like the slow-mo bullet time.
Yeah.
And there's a shot where it rotates around rooms,
That's sick.
Yeah.
which is awesome. Don't get me wrong, but if there wasn't Matrix, there was none of that at all.
Oh no, but bullet time changed everything.
Yeah.
as far as cinema.
And especially when you see how it was done as well. Like they weren't even video cameras; they were DSLRs, and they were on a timer. So when she jumped in the air, they all took a picture momentarily after each other,
and it was all mechanical. It wasn't digital. It was all done mechanically as well. Like, you look at the rig and you're thinking, nowadays we've got GoPros, you know, the tiniest cameras ever. These were big old DSLRs all on a rig. It's phenomenal.
So, yeah, Bad Boy 2s, if you haven't checked it out, great little franchise.
It's a big fucking fish. Big fucking eyes, but a big fucking fish. Nice, mate. Right, my number 2. You mentioned Matrix at one point.
Yes.
So let's go a year later. So 1999 was when Matrix came out. Let's go a year later to 2000, right?
Okay.
Imagine Neo was on a bike and had a handgun and was played by Tom Cruise.
Oh, yes.
Mission Impossible 2.
Impossible 2.
The bike scene at the end. This is why I had to ask you if we were allowed to have
Fucking
bikes.
I died.
I love this because it is cheesy as
Hold
fuck. And
Hold on.
totally forgot.
Which one is this? Is this the bike
John
scene
Woo.
where they actually... Yeah, it is the fucking
John
one I'm
Woo,
thinking
yeah.
of,
John Woo one,
where they're
yes.
I love
fighting
this
with
one.
bikes.
thank you. Right.
It gets slated, but I don't know
It's
why.
so
I don't
good.
know what they were watching. 'cause
Dude,
it
when
was
this came out,
awesome.
right, I was like you with that pass. I had that pass and I watched this movie hundreds of times because of that end scene. The rest of the movie's crap, but that end scene was all about that. It was so good.
It's not the best.
But he is typically, he's got the sunglasses, he's got the jacket, he is practically Neo on a bike.
Yeah.
But if anyone's not seen it, very quickly, Tom Cruise, obviously Mission Impossible, he has got his girlfriend's got some sort of disease and he's got the cure to it, so he needs to get to her in time.
Chimera, isn't it?
That's it,
Chimera.
yeah. That's the one.
By
And
the late, great... now I've just ruined it by not remembering his name.
Is it?
The actor who plays the villain in that one.
Dougray Scott.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Oh, it's not...
He was going to be Wolverine.
Dougray-
He was going to be
Dougray Scott,
Wolverine,
isn't it? Yeah.
and he turned it down for this.
Fucking hell.
What a loser!
All the people.
I bet he regrets that to this day.
I imagine I would have known.
Anyway, he's got the antidote, so he needs to go get to his girlfriend, and he comes across a bike with a handgun, whatnot, and now it's just to take race against time to get to his girlfriend. So he's on on an island, isn't it, if you will? So he
Yeah,
needs to get to the bridge, and we got one of his colleagues who shoots off a car. There's the slow-mo drive through the flames.
Yes.
And then we got the point where he's been, chased by all the other bad guys. So we get the scene where in slow-mo, he whips the jacket aside, he gets the handgun, and he shoots. But he shoots now. I don't know why John Woo did this, but it's added sound effect for this handgun is like shooting a laser. It's not got the sound effects.
Pew,
of
pew.
Yeah, it's like pew, 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 without the silencer sound to it. I'm just crapping it. But again, and it's all in slow-mo, so he does like wheelies and he does these turns. And it's, again, there's no bullet time as per se, but it goes to a point where the music cuts and you hear the squeaking of the car, the bike, and you hear the turn
Don't
of
they
the
take
car.
the piss out of this in Family Guy?
Yes.
Where they pick up the bikes. They're in the bar and they basically pick up the two bikes and they start hitting the bikes like they're
Yes.
swords. Like,
Yep.
it's fucking...
That comes into it later. I don't
Yeah.
go too deep. It's just, yeah. But yeah, so we cut to that and then... And then we get to. Do you remember the scene where he's being chased by another car?
Yeah.
And what he does, he breaks
Breaks,
and then creates the sting, the smoke from
to
the
cover himself
bone and the
to get out,
rubber,
yeah,
right? I can't see anything. And typically a car comes across and smashes them up, but it doesn't just knock them off the road. It just blows up. It's ridiculous. Typical John Woo. If you don't know John Woo, the Chinese action director, he's over the top. Action is, everything blows up. It's like shake your hand, boom. Everything blows up.
Face off.
Yeah, face off. Everything blows up. Another couple of scenes where he comes across Dougray Scott, which is the main villain, isn't it? And
Can I just say that he is such a horrendous douchebag in this film?
Who,
isn't he?
Dougray?
Yeah.
he's a
stand his
bastard. It's like a part where they sort of joust one another, and he shoots. So Tom Cruise just jumps to the side of the bike, and hides behind it to deflect the bullets.
Can't. It's so...
It's so cheesy, but it's brilliant.
Right, there's another film, right, that came out around the same sort of time that does this silly fighting with bikes. And this
Is it
silly...
Talk?
No, it's fucking... there was Talk, but there was also Biker Boys.
No, I've not seen
Lawrence
that.
Fishburne.
No, I've not seen that.
It's Lawrence Fishburne in it, and it's basically like Talk sort of thing, but you got two gang biker. It's fucking
I
ridiculous.
was hoping to say From Mars at the bottom of that title.
Biker Mice from Mars, Biker Boys from Mars. The Talk was just as bad. Talk was fucking like at the end of that film, they might as well have picked up their bikes and been hitting each other with them.
Yeah,
Like,
pretty much.
'cause
There's
they
literally
do-
a scene in Talk when they do
They
that.
endo and the two wheels hit each other at the back
That's
and
it.
then they bounce off. But they don't do it just once, they do it twice.
Yeah.
And yet they do the same in this film as well. In this one, like they come up, they wheelie at each other.
Yeah.
And it's like the bikes are trying to shag each other.
Yes.
Fucking-
So that's the point I'm going to get to. So they get to the beach where
Yeah.
before they have their fight off, but instead of doing that,
Such a
they
ludicrous
do the
fight.
let's play chicken.
yeah.
Do that, and like you said, the bikes
rear up.
collapse, and then they do this pathetic jump and catch each other in the air.
Yeah.
And guess what? Bikes blow up. Even though they just crash, they just blow up. But I absolutely loved this when I saw this for the first time. I was only a kid at the time, and next minute I was buying sunglasses, I was buying jackets.
Yeah.
I wasn't even driving at the time, so I had my BMX and I was pretending I had my gun out and everything. I absolutely loved it. And then I completely forgot, well, when I said, can we have any vehicle in this? I was like, I've got to add this in here, dude.
Yeah.
I just...
It's a car chase.
Yeah,
it's on bikes, but it's a car
Yeah,
chase.
I mean, it's just absolute balls to the walls, ridiculous. But I just had fun watching it, and again, I love John Woo's aspect on it, where like the sound effects changed, and slow mo was a thing at the time,
Yeah.
wasn't it? I mean, we had Bullet Time, we had Bad Boys 2, and it was just anytime slow mo came on the screen, it was like, oh my god,
Something's about to happen.
this is so fucking cool! It's in slow mo.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I love Mission Impossible too. It's weird because I was like, oh, you like Mission? Everyone slates it. Like, oh, it's
Yeah.
just me.
And you can't, and come on, Limp Bizkit.
Limp Bizkit, all the way through it. The opening scene, for no reason at all, why is he climbing a fucking rock?
Do you see
And
the Ben
yeah.
Stiller skit on that?
Yeah,
He
yeah.
plays his stunt double.
Yeah, yeah.
It's awesome.
Oh yeah.
So why are we doing this again? Oh, because Tom says it.
Who is Tom Cruise? What is Tom Cruise?
There is so much that I like and so much that I hate about that film at the same time. Like, it's almost like a patchwork quilt. So I know that from listening to a couple of interviews with Tom Cruise, basically what he does is he goes, "I've got a stunt, now let's put a film around it,"
Yeah.
and it just makes me wonder. Whose idea with the motorbikes? Was it Tom Cruise going, I've got an idea.
Possibly.
Let's
Always his.
let's play chicken with motorbikes. Or was it a case of, I just want to climb a mountain, so give me a rock to climb and I'll do whatever you want.
Give me a movie that I can just climb a rock
Yeah.
in or whatever.
And I'll just do whatever you want.
It's like his hobby at the time or something.
it was,
yeah.
Bouldering
But yeah,
or some shit.
but going back to MI2, you have to admit it's the black sheep of the whole. What's it?
Yeah.
7 of them now.
No, I would have put 3.
No, 3's amazing, dude. I love 3.
Three's good.
Like 2 is the most cheesiest one out of all
I
of
really
them.
like. That's why it's weird. Cause
Maybe
it's like,
4, definitely 4 as well.
Yeah.
Is that Ghost Protocol?
Yes,
Yeah.
I like-
yes.
Two's got
See,
an
I
issue.
love the Mission Impossible franchise, so it's like it's hard for me to.
It's like when he presses the button, mission accomplished. It's like, no.
So Mission Impossible is great. The first one's great because there is a mission that is impossible. In 2, there's not really a mission that's
No, it's about
impossible.
Yeah.
And 3, you have another mission that
She's
is
going to jump.
impossible.
She's got to stop her.
But
Stop the girlfriend.
But if you ever watch the TV series, you know that each one has a sequence of events. And I'm going to call this person to do this. We only had 4 people to call, and he calls all of them in most of the film, most of the films. But each of them has their purpose and has a thing. And you have the tech guy. What I love about Mission Impossible is you have 2 tech guys, and they both fight each other the entire fucking way through.
On the series you're talking about, yeah.
No, on the
Ving
movies.
Rhames and
Ving
Pegg.
Rhames.
Oh,
and
Ving Rhames and
Simon Pegg.
Ceci, yeah.
The 2 of them are both fighting each other for tech stuff. So Simon Pegg's like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. I know. And Ving Rhames is going, well, I've done it.
Yeah, yeah.
What? Huh? But yeah, but 2 is
No, yeah, I mean...
It is a great sequence, but it is a fantasy sequence.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's why I like it.
Yeah.
But we have like way other car chases and bike chases in the
Yeah,
other ones. I mean,
100%.
I think 5 has another bike chase. It
does.
But again, it's so realistic, and there's no slow mo and there's no handgun, so bollocks to it.
It's not a real car chase.
That's it. But the recent one, 7, with the Fiat Punto.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still pretty good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Like at the moment the Mission Impossible comes out, I'm like,
But it doesn't need to be there. It's there, but it doesn't need to be there. It's so weird, but it's brilliant.
It's like the opening scene for that, where he's hanging off the side of the aircraft
Plane.
carrier.
Yes.
The plane. And he was like, I just want to hang off the side of a plane. So that's what they did for the first sequence of the film. Like, yeah, I mean, he builds those franchises to be like James Bond. There's the opening sequence. Now we set up the rest of the film.
That's it. So yeah, MI2. Let's say it's a guilty pleasure. That's why it had to be number 2. Let's go to the number 1s.
It's number 1.
Over to you, Howard. Bring it home, sir. Please don't take mine.
For practical car chases, I think this one tops the list. And going back to 1968, with its star of Steve McQueen, co-stars of Robert Vaughn and Robert Duvall, directed by Peter Yates, is Bullet.
Nice. Steve McQueen as well. Yeah.
Steve
McQueen, yeah.
I love cop films, cop shows. I love anything detective-driven, anything with a procedural.
It's Eleanor again, the original, right?
It is an Eleanor, yeah, to a degree. So it's
being chased by a Dodge Charger, if I believe correctly, is it?
Yes, he's being chased by a Dodge Charger. Yeah. So the bad guys. Right, let's set the scene. So Frank Bullitt, San Francisco detective, is pursuing a group of mobsters after they have killed a key witness in a witness protection program. He gets tailed by some hitmen who attempt to take him out. He cottoned onto this, so throughout the streets of San Francisco, he suddenly turns the tables on them, double backs, and then he starts chasing them. They suddenly realise what's happened, and they hightail it out of there. So in his Ford Mustang GT390 Fastback, a 1968 edition, he hightails it across San Francisco. And what I really like about this scene is that, again, no music.
Nope.
There's no music
It
at
is the
all.
sound of the engines.
It's the sound
That's
of
all
the
you need.
engines. Yeah, and I said about the sounds of the engines in Gone in 60 Seconds, I think the meaty sound of this Ford Mustang, it's where they got the idea for that scene in Gone in 60
thing
Well,
is-
100%, yeah.
So in my perfect cars, I rate the Charger above his car. That
Really?
Fastback, yeah, I rate the Charger above that. The Charger's just got the broader shoulders. It's the bigger, beefier engine. It is fucking vicious.
Yeah, I think from a looks point of view, it's not the best looking of the Mustangs. No. It's not, but it has become iconic. And I've only seen Bullet a couple of times. Flicking back to thinking about car chase scenes, this one always springs to mind.
I watched it because you need to watch it
Yeah,
for this
yeah.
car.
Same.
That's the only reason I watched this. Not the only, but it was the main reason I watched this film, because it was like, you got to see this car chase.
Yeah, you do. And it takes in every aspect of the unique street system within San Francisco. And every single
On a fucking hill.
Every single hill, and it goes over every single bump. And every time a car goes over one of those ridges and down, keeps going down, 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 you hear it hit that tarmac. You hear it hit the asphalt every single time.
And you see the noses as well when they, because it's old leaf spring suspension, when the nose hits and it drops and you see the sparks
bounces
and you see,
back
bounces
up again.
back up.
Yeah, and it's brilliant. And I think but there was only 2 cars in this car chase scene, and there was about 20 hubcaps that were lost.
Yes.
And you see,
See, every time you see the car, hubcaps rolling.
hubcap rolls off. You're like, hang on a minute, I think I've just got 15 hubcaps there. Great camera angles. It's brilliantly directed. You believe every single time that Steve McQueen's going around the corner, you feel it. This car lurches from the left and to the right, and the stunt. I say the stuntman.
He did a lot of it himself.
He did it, yeah.
Steve McQueen drove the majority of the scenes in that car, and I think that it tells within the scene, because you can see it. There's no stuntman.
Makes it more authentic, doesn't it?
It does make
as
it more
well?
authentic. Yeah, there's 1 or 2 scenes where you know it's not him, but. Yeah, so it finally takes itself out of the city, and they're kind of going into the outback of San Francisco, into the suburbs. It culminates with the bad guys getting shoved by McQueen into a fuel station, into a petrol station, and then this fucking car just blows up, and he drives off. I think, wow, Jesus Christ! But it's literally 10 minutes, no music, just hard. Foot to the floor, sounds of this
Proper manual gearbox. Proper
brilliant.
clunk. Proper everything about those cars.
So everything I love about Gone in 60 Seconds, that final scene with Eleanor, it was born within this film. Yeah, and it's brilliant. And one of the facts that little known facts. The car from this film was the highest selling version of the Ford Mustang at the time when it went to auction, because
Of course
it sold for $3.74 million when it was eventually sold. So that's how iconic it is. But other car chase scenes have probably been done better. This one was the original.
Yeah.
Yes.
This one was definitely original,
Yeah.
and it set the bar so very, very high. But yeah, as a showpiece, that's why I like
So
it.
I
That's
never
why
remember
rate
the
it.
movie being that great. It
No,
just,
it's
it
not
was
a
just
great
the
film.
car.
The movie's
It's like the Italian Job.
Yeah.
Well, and much like the French Connection, it plods to a degree, and then it hits this scene about halfway through the film, literally halfway through the film,
Yeah,
and it
it
just
picks
picks
up
up.
pace, yeah.
Because everybody's sat there and going, "Oh, now I'm paying attention to this." But yeah, it's such a great scene, great film. I love Steve McQueen. I think he's such a brilliant actor. Yeah, and he sells it to the nth degree.
Yeah, me and my wife Louise took me to San Francisco. We done a movie locations tour, so we saw where they filmed Big Trouble in Little China,
Right.
in Tower Inferno,
Yeah.
and of course we drove down the famous Bullet Hill as well. So it's like, wow, this is quite
Did
cool
you
to
drive at
see.
100 miles an hour?
Didn't actually drive, no.
Try
But
driving
it's
down
one
it
of those rooftop bus
Yeah,
things.
right.
So yeah, and we got to see where the room got filmed as well. By the way, the greatest movie ever made, right,
Did you
Chris?
see Alcatraz?
I did see Alcatraz. Went to Alcatraz as well. Yeah,
Saw all the movies.
that's it. So yeah, that was cool. It was nice to actually go down because it's that big bumpy one, isn't it?
Yeah,
That goes
yeah.
all the way down to the seafront.
Well, I
Wow.
mean, literally, I've never been to America in my life. I'd absolutely love to go, but you look at these streets and they literally go like this.
Yeah.
They got
I
that
just
little.
think, how in hell?
That,
Most-
that
most of them
really
aren't even-
curvy
the
one.
curvy street,
The curvy
yeah.
street.
Yeah, most of them aren't even drivable anymore. Like the cars parked either side, trams going up and down. And
Plus, cars are so
buses.
big these days,
Yeah.
aren't they?
Yeah.
American cars, especially. Like, yeah.
So, yeah.
Nice, good
1968
pick, sir.
bullet.
Yours is taken, Mary, but do you want to take anything else, or do you want to swap it for anything else last minute?
So I'm going to chuck one in there. It's going to be a quick one. It's a really easy one, and it's T2.
Okay.
yes.
Arnold Schwarzenegger going down the storm drain with the truck behind him, smashing down the big explosions on the Harley, with Guns N' Roses playing in the background. You Could Be Mine is playing in the background as they come
Yes, I
down
know
that,
me, yeah.
It's just such a great sequence. And when we were doing this, it was like on my list, off my list, on my list. It wouldn't be my number one, but some bastard stole it and then tried to palm off Bullet as number one.
I told you this list was hard for me.
But I'm going to stick T2 in there just because I haven't got it there now. But it's such a great scene where he picks up John Connor, sticks him on the back of the motorbike. He's supposed to be saving him. But every time you kind of look at this, like that motorbike going down the lane, and you've got, the T1000 coming up behind him in the truck and smashing through everything as it goes. And then there's this tiny little Harley with this oversized man and a small boy on the back, and they're going hell for leather through these drains. And it just is such an impressive kind of scene. And it sets the destruction, the death. Arnie's character, he's been a bad guy in the first one. You're still not entirely convinced that he's a good guy
At
in
the
this
time,
one.
anyway,
Yes. And he puts John Connor on the back, and off he goes. And then you've got all the explosions yet again. You've got you got everything about it: the storm drain, the chase through the street, the metal being bent left, right, and centre. It's such a great scene.
I love it when the bike basically flies off the bridge. doesn't it?
Yeah,
And then
Did it jump? Did that?
Yeah,
did they
yeah,
actually
yeah,
jump
he
it?
ju- he jumped
but
to
it's-
Harley,
it's
but
when
it's-
the bike hits the ground.
Because it just chudunk.
Yeah, and you just literally feel that thud.
Yeah,
and it just keeps driving.
And the bike just stays level. Like
Yeah.
if you watch stunt bikes, like normally the nose is up in the air, the tail is down, and then they kind of try and rev it out. Not this. Arnie, being the man he is, quite big, and his stunt double. I think it's actually Arnie driving it, but the bike just hits the ground and just dunk and carries on going. Like it's almost like it wasn't real, but it was real.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just
it doesn't look real,
unbelievable.
but his face doesn't even flinch.
No.
it literally hunkers
stays
down
there
and just keeps driving.
and he stays steady on the bike as well. As
Yeah.
it connects. He's like dunk and carries on going, and it's just that scene is like it's not my number one, but it would have been an honourable mention. But I think it deserves some exploration in that.
Nice.
And it's such a good scene.
Good pick, sir.
So there we go.
Go on in, Chris. What Michael Bay, Joe
No,
Brockham
no,
movie is it?
no.
Is there any left?
So this
Is
one,
it
this
the
one
scene
was
from
always
Turtles?
number one. This one, we're going back to '98, going to Paris.
Ooh.
Robert De Niro,
I know you are.
Sean Bean, the guy from Leon,
Yeah.
Yep.
Carver, Elliot Carver, what is his name? And it is Ronin.
Yes.
So for me, this,
This was the rocket launcher.
Yes.
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 So this when I watched this, I could have had both the first car chase, the one through Nice and I think it's the Havre or say the first one up in the hills. I was I could have had both of them on it, but what I've taken is the one in Paris, the one where what's her name? I've got it written here. Natasha Mahone. She's one of those people that you do recognise her. She's been in quite a bit. So the story is about a bunch of ex-special operatives, and they've been hired to steal a briefcase, basically like Pulp Fiction. And you never really kind of find out what's in the briefcase, but there's a double cross, and half of the team gets double crossed, and the story is De Niro and the others chasing down the two people who've done them dirty. But it all ends up in the streets in Paris. De Niro knocks on the window, looks at her, and just kind of says, "Don't do it." And she's like... And then she just basically puts her foot down and goes. And we got Peugeots and BMWs. So these are like proper fast cars for when you're out in the real world. Like day to day, these cars would be booting around. They're not like all the supercars that you...
I was going to say, they didn't use any
it's an everyday
iconic
car,
cars, did
but
they?
this was the first sort of film that I watched, for me, where it looked like the driving was properly real. Like, so all the whole driving thing, like there was no CGI, everything was done practically on set. They also did the thing where they had 4 cars, they cut one of them in half so they could tow it on the rig to have it on the back so they get the full movements of the cars. And the one for the lady driver, she had her seat and steering wheel mirrored into the car, so she was driving at the same time as the guy. So it gives you the full practical effects. There's no cut in between. She's in the car when it's all being done. It's just the driver's in the other side. It's really well done, and it's a good 10 minutes worth of just non-stop action. It's the same guy who did the Bourne Supremacy and the Bourne Ultimate, all of those car chases. So you know what you're getting with the Mini Cooper. Yeah. And it's the only reason they weren't on it, because I was like, because this one was like the daddy. And it's basically from there, this is how I feel like cars are, when they go for real, because Taxi did it, they do this real, like, everything looks real and precise. Like it's the way that they spin the cars and they do the 360s and they're getting through the time, and it's just fast paced, and it ends up going through for all the streets of Paris, and then it ends up going through the tunnel. Yep. I think it's actually the tunnel with. I think it is. Yeah, the Diana tunnel. So and the people crashing into that, and it's just from the moment. It's always been in my head as like the top car chase, and I will watch Ronin as a film, because I know that these 2 car chases are in it with a good plot at the same time, and without giving anything away, like the car chases, I believe, is just the guy showing off. If you know what his movie. Doesn't really need to be in there, like you could, but he's showing off what sort of coordination can do, and it's just non-stop. Like the first one through the was it like the Riviera, that where you got all the Bond sort of tight turns, and you got all of the cars coming through. It's just they're being driven. I think it's an Alfa Romeo and a Merc, and then obviously the other ones is the Peugeots. And just the BMWs, they're just so nice as a practical day car. It's just like...
It's not like a souped up car or anything. It's just like a normal car.
Yeah.
But there's traffic, and it feels like the traffic's like there. It's not like, where is all the traffic? Because it is like...
They're avoiding it and going in and out of it.
Ducking and weaving is up on the pavement, and it's just non-stop, and it's just, And obviously the cast with De Niro just chasing him down, and I really do like the guy from Leon. I can never
Jean Reno.
Yeah, like anything he's in, he's just suave. It's just, and yeah. If you haven't seen this film, I genuinely recommend going to see it because it's a good sort of keeps you on the edge, doesn't it? It's like a who done it, what is it, why is it, and it's just it's just a good one film. And it's one of these ones where it's like I've had all the over the top action. Now this is
Bit of realism.
Cause for all of his stuff is, and I think like how you were saying with the one the police one.
Yeah.
The realism makes such a difference. Like when you're watching it, if it's cause like it's the camera shots, it's very.
It almost as well when you watch stuff like that. It's like, what would you do if you were racing your car in that situation? And in this, it's like it is your car. It's not like it's not a Bad Boys. It's not a Ferrari. It's not a Porsche. It's not Eleanor. It's it is your car. It's your Peugeot 306 or It's those cars racing through just a street, and you're like, could I do that? My car can do that. I've just seen it in this film. So
you're not sitting there watching like when you smash up Eleanor. You're like, or the Ferrari. You're just like watching it because like these cars are meant to be sort of scuffed. I mean, you'll be annoyed if your BMW got smashed up, but like when you see all these other supercars,
just not in this film.
Yeah, just not in this film, and it's just it was always on my number one. Like that was always going to be number one. There was never any other choice. All the other picks just came around this one. It's just fast paced, brilliant. I can't speak enough about it. And it's one of those films that don't get talked about enough. I think it's
another one that got panned when it was released.
Yeah.
Did it?
Yeah.
See, kids, it's just.
I think they annihilated De Niro. They were asking why has he done it? What's
Yeah.
He done?
Was it? Yeah, it's just another one of these. You went from the video shop, looked at a cool cover. And it had Sean Bean in it. Wait,
Bastard.
Bastard. So Ronin.
Nice. Good pick. My number one has been taken, and I shouldn't have given him a normal mention for it. So my number one is T2 Scooter versus 18
you son of a
wheeler.
bitch. Sorry, mate. I did wonder why you looked pissed off at me.
You bastard.
You bastard. But no, originally my number one was The Dark Knight. So I thought I'll throw something in last minute very quickly, but it would be this. And the reason for that is because it has one of my favourite explosions at the end, but I'll go through it quickly. You've kind of mentioned it, but I'll set the scene quickly. So John Connor's running away from the T-1000 who's after him. So it starts with his scooter, and this fucking guy's running after him. I get a stitch watching this movie, just seeing him run after him. Robert Patrick.
Patrick, that's it.
Apparently, he could run so fast that he kept catching the bike.
Yes.
And he learned to run
Slower.
Just through his nose, breathe through his nose.
But the
while
way
running.
he runs, like he's got a purpose. It's like,
it's terrifying.
yeah, it's absolutely terrifying.
And his face is always deadpan as well.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
does
Never
that
blinks in that
he does
movie.
I don't know why he
thing.
just doesn't run the whole film. It'd be terrifying.
I know, right?
It's that bit on the back of the truck where his arms turn into the hooks and he's like,
Ned Flanders.
yeah, just fucking brilliant. Yeah, Ned Flanders.
So yeah, John Connor's on his scooter. He's getting away. So what does he do? So what does the T-1000 do? He hijacks an 18-wheeler.
Yeah.
But he just throws the guy out and just starts driving. But anyway, John Connor manages to escape like the drainage tunnels again,
Yes,
isn't it?
yeah.
And it's that little sigh of relief. You're like, oh yes, I've done it.
And then there's that big.
And then you just would never. I never thought of it at the time. Like that's it. He just drives over the road and gets straight into that. And the stunts, the way it slams down, the 18-wheeler just breaking over as it lands. It's horrendous, but he still manages to carry it.
There's
and
a bit you see it like he's fighting with the steering wheel.
Absolutely. And then he's trying to catch up with him and whatnot. We've got Arnie at the same time, who's in his Harley at the time. Wheeling his, spinning his little shotgun around, which I never knew you could reload a gun like that in my entire life.
The only other person I've ever seen do that was John Wayne, and it was like a massive full size, not a sawn off.
Yeah.
So like to see Arnie doing it with a little sawn,
And he does it like he's been doing it for years.
yeah,
Seriously, the guy it's insane,
It's
isn't
a bit
it?
where he just grabs him off the scooter as well.
Yeah.
Like, he just like picks him up like
Few
he's a toy.
times.
Just the way he's like, pow,
bam.
and he's trying to get to John Connor, and obviously there's a part where the T-1000's caught up, and he's literally hit the back of the scooter, isn't it? Doesn't he? And then that's when the the Harley jumps down, like you mentioned. And like you said, like both of you said, when you see that stunt double do it and that thud that comes down, whatnot. And then obviously he picks up John Connor and then shoots the wheels. Yep. So it defects and goes straight into a wall. But it's that little part where it crashes. You see the oil, petrol
coming out,
and then he little, and then. But the way that frame is, it's framed on that shot where it explodes, but they're still driving away from it in the exact same shot. So you've got the explosion there,
towards them as well,
and you've got that there as well. It is perfectly shot, amazingly done. And I remember seeing this. So they re-released it when it came out in 3D, and it was in our cinema. And I kid you not, when it done the little and then bang, the speakers blew.
No.
Yeah, honestly. So we had to like wait for it to like all go to a different screening in the end. I can't remember where it was. But I couldn't believe it was like, that's the bit I waited for. It was like, and then it just died. So the movie still played, obviously, but there was no sound. I was like, I was so gutted because I literally went to the movies just to see that explosion go. I just loved the sound design of that little spark that goes and then bang, you know. Incredible.
I love that scene just before it, the bit where he's trying to get past, and you know where it just where he goes for
and
it.
he just swerves in.
I literally every time I watch it, I'm like, it's like a little like
you hear the roar of the truck as well. Like,
absolutely,
yes.
But even the sound and when it breaks and when it's scraping across the road, it's oh my god! I love the sound design in this movie. It just works so well with everything that James Cameron picks. But also after that explosion, he stops, doesn't he?
Yes.
Arnie knows that he's not dead.
He's not dead, and he stops. He looks back. He then carries on, and then you wait a little bit.
Yeah.
And then out of the flames comes
rubber.
Well, no, it's the tyre first, isn't it? Because he cocks the gun, and obviously it's that. Then they drive off, and then we get
out of there. The Silver Surfer walks out.
It is. Yeah,
but it's the best. So it's the best I've ever seen a special effect at that time.
Yes,
because it's the only computerized kind of character, other than I think the Abyss had kind of done its thing.
That was the one. Yeah.
And this had kind of like he'd worked towards this, and it's that mirror, that Mercury kind of and the weight to the character as well. So even when he drops and melts and stuff, like you get a weight to his metallicism or whatever it is. Like he just feels like it, and he walks out of that flames, the reflection on every part of his body, and he walks through it, and the flames kind of part around him as well.
And then he just morphs back to Robert Patrick again, doesn't he? Yeah.
And Robert Patrick does it so well. Like he almost like pulls his shoulders back and pushes his head forward.
Yes.
And it looks like he's actually morphing, like almost as if he thought it through. Like so he's pushing through the metal, and there's Robert Patrick there. It's so good, such a great.
Yeah,
effect.
I mean, there's another one where he's in the helicopter and he's chasing the.
It's where he smashes into it and then goes through the helicopter onto the bike.
I was going to pick that.
It's the bike, isn't it? He crashes the bike into the helicopter and then goes through the gap into the helicopter.
That's right. Yeah, headbutts it, and then and then they chase with the truck into the factory bed. But I didn't pick that because again, it's all about that explosion. I just absolutely love it. But yeah, I had to put it in the end. It was going to be in the top 5, but like I think it was going to be like number 2. But I moved it down to 1 because it got taken. And you explained Dark Knight so well. I was like, I've really got nothing else to put into this. So
then I stole it.
And then
I didn't do it very well.
It's fine. We'll cut it out.
So you want to talk? Yeah, go.
That's fine. So yeah, that's our top 5s. Yeah. Anyone got honorable mentions? Because I have a few.
So I got a few.
Born Identity for that Mini Cooper. That's the other one that I alluded to.
That was on the list originally. Yeah.
Man with the Golden Gun.
Yeah, I'm surprised no one put Bond films in there.
Well, you could put almost every Bond film.
With not Buford T. Justice.
Quantum of Solace.
And you could put them all in there. Quantum of Solace. The one with the
opening to that is so good. The movie's shit, but the opening is badass.
Me, and you're like, you son of a bitch. How did you get me that hyped and then just fucking hang
just
me
drops
like...
off the scale, doesn't it?
I mean, every Bond film has a chase scene in it at some point. Like I can't remember which Bond film it is.
I was going to have GoldenEye.
Which one's the GoldenEye
with
one?
The tank,
I was having a tank on there.
Yeah.
There's the one where the car's in half and he chases through the town with half a car.
Yeah.
God,
what was that one?
There's the Lotus. Herbie Goes Bananas. Best ever. But yeah, any James Bond film has a chase scene in it. Like they're always going to be class and quality. But yeah, you're right. Herbie Goes Bananas and Herbie. Yeah, they're all good. That's what I can think of off the top of my head.
See, I had Indiana Jones, the horse, and then the bit where he gets the
Dial of Destiny.
No, the truck where is it Raiders?
Raiders.
Yeah. He chases him on the truck.
And do you know what? I asked you on that episode, does it count? Fuck, I forgot to put it on there.
So-
I'm surprised you didn't put it on there.
The Great Escape.
Yeah.
Back to the Future and the Libyans. I was so close to putting that
Yeah,
on.
it's just around the car park, I suppose. Yeah. It's that's the worst racial stereotype ever. The guy on the back with a bazooka going. Blah, 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 blah.
Oh my god.
Days of Thunder.
Days of Fun.
Oh, yeah, shit.
There's two of them, two race scenes in that. There's one in the street where they get the car, the rental
they
cars.
fuck 'em up.
Yeah, and then the other one with the wheelchairs outside the hospital. That's
One of my guilty pleasure, Gangster Squad, is the old one with the.
Oh, nice.
Oh
Yeah,
my
with
God, yeah,
Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
Not Ryan Reynolds,
No.
Ryan Gosling.
Yeah. Last Action Hero.
yes.
T3, which I was gonna put like the crane.
Yes.
Like, I love
Fuck, I should have put that in there.
crane. But when you said this one was close to me, you said we're going for who's Grindhouse have gone.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Kurt Russell.
Yeah, my one was the one with the big tanker breakdown.
Yes, of course.
yeah, the
Yeah.
ending.
And he doesn't run in that movie, so.
No.
Or any movies.
Shocking.
I know not people don't like the franchise, but I put Fast 5 because the big with the safe
safe.
was pretty cool. And Mad Max 3-year-old 7-Ups. That's it. Oh, Baby Driver.
Baby
yes.
Driver.
Baby Driver. The
think,
opening.
Oh, the transporter, the opening, and then it
Oh,
stopped.
yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
So I had virtually every Indiana Jones film because there's always a chase scene.
Yeah.
You just pick one. Specifically, though, I love the tuk chase scene
Yeah.
from Dial of Destiny.
Okay,
I think
yeah,
it's
yeah.
good. Again, an unconventional chase scene. I didn't include it because I could have just talked about Indiana Jones all fucking night. And along a similar line is the speeder bike chase in Return of the Jedi.
It is.
Oh,
Of course it is.
Shit.
Yes.
Yes, of
Die Hard
course.
4.
But
So I was going
what
to
a-
stick in there as well. I was
yeah.
off the top of my head. I was going to put the
I
light
love that
cycles.
scene.
It's Star Wars, and I thought again, we would have just turned this into a
It's
Star
same-
Wars.
Yeah,
so-
that's true.
I would have put light cycles from Tron in there as well.
Oh yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
But let's
Quick edit.
That'll be a different episode, guys. Sci-fi chase scenes.
sci-fi chase scenes, space speed chase scenes. Yeah.
Well, to be fair, I thought we would have more clashes. Like, so I thought we'd done well.
Yeah, did
Just
all
the
right.
one.
Did
We
all
did
right.
well.
Well, two if you
Two,
include
technically two, but yeah, or three because you took mine as well.
Oh yes, I did.
But yeah,
yeah.
but no, apart from that,
bastard.
You
that's,
bastard.
that's 20 race, 20 car chases in. We got 3 clashes. I'm not gonna lie, that's pretty good going, to be honest.
Do that.
So yeah, guys, if you like what you listen to, follow us on Facebook at the M.T.V.B podcast, on Instagram at M.T.V.B podcast, or on TikTok at M.T.V.B podcast 197, or of course on.
YouTube at M.T.V.B podcast.
Thank you, guys, and please leave a like, a comment, and subscribe if you like what you listen to. And obviously, if we didn't mention any of your car chasings, put it in the comment section and let us know about it. We maybe recommend it or give it a go. Yeah. So this is Antman.
H2 lists.
Super Mario.
And Chris, who loves The Rock.
And Michael Bay and Jerry Bruckheimer.
Michael Bay and Jerry
But I don't know about you guys. I'm in the mood to watch a Jerry Bruckheimer and Michael Bay movie. Good night.